Wisconsin. We have a big crowd. Again, the job numbers were fantastic today. It's like nobody thought, many times what they thought they'd be. We have factories and plants being built all over our country at a number that we've never had before, ever in our history, and we're doing really well.
Inflation. These inflation supply shock numbers will not get the Fed to surprise the market. And the data is out. The May jobs report. 172,000. Is there any doubt that this anecdotal evidence about a good labor market has been very correct? That is a really strong number. And last month, well, we had a revision from 115,000 to 179,000, which means the 2-month revision has got to be over 90,000. That is a good number. Even manufacturing posted a 7,000 job gain. So how strong is 172,000? That would be the best number since 185,000 in March. These are solid numbers. If we look at what's going on with average hourly earnings come in at 0.3 as expected. If we look at average hourly earnings year over year, 3.4 as expected. And I would like to point out that on the month over month, 0.3 is a tenth higher than the 0.2 in the rearview mirror. But the 3.4 year over year is 0.2 light. 0.2 light. 3.4 would equal where we were in March. We started the year at 3.7. Okay. Now, if we look at the work week, and the work week, of course, has been getting a bit smaller. The average work week's coming in at 34.3 as expected. The unemployment rate, drum roll please, 4.3. Well, we didn't really need the drum roll. That is a very, very nice historically low rate, and it's pretty steady there. As a matter of fact, we're at 4.3 every month this year, except for February, we're at 4.4. Labor force participation rate, it's been moving lower. You know, last month it moved to 61.8. That was the smallest since September of 21. And that's where it's camping out at 61.8. And that's really depressing. You know, you read these statistics about how many able-bodied workers are not working or looking for work. That is something we need to deal with. And finally, the last part of this number is the underemployment rate. We call it U6. The actual employment rate's called U3. U6 comes in at 8.1%. 8.1%, how does that compare? Well, it was 8.2 last look. It was 8% before that. The low water mark was 7.9%, and that was in February. What has the market done? Exactly what you would expect. Interest rates are going up, and not for a bad reason, for a good reason. A good reason, because the economy is doing much better from the view of labor than many had expected. So before the number, 10-year was around 447. Right now it's hovering at 453. A 2-year was at 404. It's now at 411. And the pre-opening equities, the Dow futures, they're now down just a bit. They were up 20. Now they're down about 20. Why? Well, interest rates may be spooking it a little bit, but in the end, not all higher rates are necessarily a bad thing. Back to you.
Rick, yeah, initially it's like, oh boy, we're not going to get our cuts. People talk about hikes. Maybe that's what is in it. But you know what? The market has been, the S&P's been up 10 straight weeks. The markets knew that the economy was doing well already. So if it doesn't go up today, it's not because it's a bad number or anything. I celebrate this, and the market should be going up.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. The market already knew. The market
Right.
priced in a solid economy. You're absolutely right.
10 weeks ago, we're wondering what the hell. It keeps going up.
Against most of the experts, by the way.
Right. That's what I mean. But in the back of everyone's mind,
on the right side of this racehorse. That's right.
There's still people, traders and investors can't get it out of their head that they would like lower rates and a Fed cut or something. Maybe they'll get it based on something else down the road. But they can't get that out of their mind. But the markets say, why isn't it up today? It's not up because it's up 10 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but the market also probably celebrates either side of this. Either great economy continues or you get some relief in the
But in a down market, it would be selling off on both sides of it. That's
right,
the way it works.
This is an up market, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Hey, Rick, any other thoughts before we jump over to bring Steve in on the same thing?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things that I really am nervous about, and I underscored this, is labor force participation rate. These numbers need to reverse, and I know that many are going to talk about immigration, and I understand that, but I still say, what problem we have is that we overspend. We're a generous, benevolent society, but we need to get able-bodied workers to be looking for work or get back in the workforce. This is a big structural problem in the country, and it needs to be addressed. And Washington has to get their act together and quit running around and not doing anything. They should do their job instead of trying to micromanage families and social issues.
Well, Rick, post-pandemic, we heard about that the safety net was almost too lucrative for some people.
And that's exactly right. We pay people probably more not to work. Absolutely. If you look at all the generous programs, all of them, the problem is that you try to take back $1 of generosity during a crisis, you're not going to really get it back. How many arguments did you have about that whole extra money that we boosted on the healthcare side that we couldn't take back? It was supposed to have a sunset. Nothing sunsets. These guys in Washington and gals in Washington really need to look at this. Exactly.
To make sure we didn't take anything back.
What good does that do? Yes, yes.
Right.
Then they hold hostage all the good notions that we need to accomplish.
Happy Friday, everybody. The numbers are fantastic. Unless you're looking at the stock market, the deep state is working their magic, trying to do whatever they can to plug holes. They can't stop it. And it's one of the oddest days in finance I've ever seen. Oil prices, down. Silver, down. Gold, down. Everything is down on the heels of great news. Like President Trump said, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, except it makes a whole lot of sense. There's people freaking out on one side, and there's people on the other side who know they are going to need a boatload of cash next week. Next week, when SpaceX hits the market and people want to get in on an IPO, I heard Maria Bartiromo today talking about how there's a serious shift. People are, when you see this much cash get sucked out of the market, and how you know it's being sucked out, because it didn't go anywhere. When you look around today, it's like, oil down? Yeah, oil's down. Is gold down? Yeah, they didn't put it in gold. Is silver down? Yeah, silver's down. Every of the indices are down on the heels of some fantastic news. So that should tell you people made a whole lot of money and pulled a whole lot of cash out this weekend and are waiting to see what they're going to do with that cash. Normally, you would see one thing come down and another go up. But everything, the numbers come out fantastic, and then everything just drops. I mean, drops big time. The NASDAQ right down today, right now, 4% down. The Dow down nearly 700. Nothing is moving, which means people are sitting on cash. They've taken whatever profit, they've moved things around, and all the good economic news today is news that terrifies the deep state and the Democrats. Completely terrifies. One of the things he was talking about, in case you didn't understand, was the labor participation rate, which means there are so many people in this country still who are getting paid more to stay home than go to work. That is one of the things that's basically acting like the reins on a horse, pulling back on the economy, because we can't seem to get down the amount of people off of sucking off the teat of government back into the labor force. They're trying, they're chopping, they're doing everything they can, but the Democrat blue cities keep trying to push people onto these programs. It's all artificial. You're watching a game, but if you watch the game closely, as I've said, you know where that puck is going. When you see everything pull back, that means people are hoarding cash. Why would people be hoarding cash right now? Because more than likely, what we're going to see happen over, well, today is what, the 5th? Over the next 7 to 8 days is such an explosion that people aren't going to be, I mean, we've never seen it in history what's about to happen. And I feel very bad for people who aren't participating. President Trump did a gaggle while he was on Air Force One. I'm going to play it. It's audio only. But one of the things that one of the reporters hit him with was, hey, listen, you're going to go see the basketball game on Monday, and you're going to be there, and it's an event where the cheapest seat is like $7,500. What do you say to the people who can't afford it? And it was cold as hell what he said. They can watch it on TV. It's free, but that's life. And as he said it, and as I heard it, I'm like, they're going to freak out. The libtards are going to go absolutely ballistic. They're not going to accept that that's life. The utopia that the communists want doesn't exist. Everybody isn't going to have the same thing as somebody else. Some people will buy 5,000 shares of SpaceX. Some people are going to have to figure out how to put gas in their tank. I think we've gotten to the mentality at this point where everybody should be in the same place. And that's never been how life has been. Never been. I remember, driving around going, wow, wish I could have a 4x4. No, well, I told my dad, he goes, well, you know what you got to do. And I heard that saying a long time growing up. That's life. Life isn't fair. Stop thinking everything's fair. Work to be a part of, the participating people who can do certain things. I would love to have a house on the ocean. Probably not in the cards. I'm probably never going to afford, unless I hit the lottery 3 or 4 times, to buy a big old house on the ocean. Not in the cards. That's life. I'm not going to have a 100-foot yacht. That's life. And I think one of the problems is people, especially on social media has become a bitch tank where everybody who can afford a phone or a laptop or a tablet can go out there and say how bad their life is and how it sucks that other people are living a different life. Instead of hunkering down and really looking at what's going on and understanding how they can get to that. I told you guys, excuse me, yesterday, that I get emails all the time from people. And I got an email that I want to share with you because it absolutely, these things make my day. And I won't read it all because it's really long. I mean, like really long in terms of what this gentleman wrote to me. But basically, he wrote, and I quote here, as soon as I get to it, I had it, but I shut my phone. And of course, once I shut my phone, it updates, and then I get 1,000 more emails. All right, so it says, here it is. Barry, this is a long overdue note. I wanted to send a meaningful, thorough message than just a quick super chat. It's hard to fully describe the positive impact that you've had on my life and my girlfriend's. I discovered your channel the night after the start, mid-March 2024, and I've watched pretty much all of your videos since then. And he just goes on because this is a long, I mean, he even broke it out into segments. But he talks about, I love that we're getting real news and you're making us have critical thinking. Then he says, I moved. You inspired me to make a move from New York to Pompano Beach this past April. I'm like, wow. And I'm thoroughly enjoying the raise I have from paying 0 state income tax. His next section was embracing AI. Your content pushed me to become an expert in AI this past year. I used it to land my current role as a senior master, I'm not going to name the name of the company, and I'm now using Claude, Grok, Gemini, and Manus. I don't even know what Manus is, to automate my work, build a game-changing recreation camping AI system, and to create and trade via an incredible AI-driven trading framework. Then he says, investing in confidence. You taught me not to be a panicking and to buy the irrational geopolitical dips by combining your philosophy with my AI models. My self-directed portfolio is up 40%. You've given me the confidence to pass this knowledge on to others, which is probably the biggest thing that he could have said here. Pay it forward. If you learn something, tell somebody else. Spreading the word. You've inspired me to preach the message of prosperity, especially now in Trump's golden age. And then it got to this part, and I just like, I'm a 62-year-old man who grew up on Long Island, 62 years old, and just by having people open the perspective and say, look what's in front of you, look at the opportunity that President Trump is providing, look at what AI can do, understand the markets. It makes me feel so good because it tells me, as many trolls at SV and Roaring Rage and Beth have to bounce out of here, that it is resonating, that people want to improve their lives, and they understand that what Trump is doing right now is something this country has never seen, including the experts. Like you heard the guys from CNBC, the experts can't even project what's happening. Sort of like what I've told you with the pollsters. How can the pollsters make polls when everything they're seeing right now is something they've never, ever seen before? You have a president doing things, and the only thing that's stopping him is us. When I say us, Americans, the media, the panicants, the grifters. They keep saying everything is bad, and every time they turn around, it's getting better. I want you to hear, let's continue on with what you just heard. And that's not it. That should have been this.
Bring in the rest of our panel for reaction to the data. Michael Falconer is the former Deputy Treasury Secretary in the Trump administration. He is also co-chair of American Prosperity at the America First Policy Institute. And Betsy Stevenson is professor of economics at the University of Michigan. Okay, folks, welcome. Michael, why don't you go ahead and take first dibs at this, and then we're going to listen to Betsy, what she thinks these numbers say. Michael, you first.
This is a surprisingly strong jobs report. I was anticipating that we've got a pretty tight labor market. I'm just surprised at where the workers are coming from. We're not seeing a large growth in the civilian population for the immigration reasons that Steve just alluded to. So the fact that we're seeing 170,000 jobs created 3 months in a row, I'm just surprised that we're not having a reduction in the unemployment rate coming out of this, because it seems like we've got tight labor supply. There's plenty of jobs out there that are being filled. The wage rate stayed low. I think a lot of that is a compositional effect. If the job growth is coming in healthcare and in leisure and hospitality, that's generally going to bring down the average wage level. So I think for people in jobs, they're seeing wage growth. And if we add jobs at the lower end of the income distribution, that's going to mask some of the wage gains that are being realized. Overall, if I were back at Treasury, if I were in the White House, I'd be strongly celebrating this.
Of course you'd be strongly celebrating it. There's no other way to look at it. But the most important is you hear guys who've got this kind of experience into the markets. Forget the fact that most of us don't have this kind of experience. The guys that do, the first thing he said like 2 or 3 times was, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Why are you surprised? Because you're comparing what President Trump is doing to other presidents. When you compare that, you end up getting surprised.
In terms of the effect on interest rates, I don't see this as contributing at all to a thought to raise interest rates. Yes, the economy is strong, but we do not see wage growth. We do not see wage gains or inflation anticipation coming out of this report.
But inflation is already running above expectations.
It's running above expectation largely because of the run-up in energy prices that, again, depending upon the resolution of the war in Iran, that could reverse very quickly. And so until I see resolution on that, I don't think that the Fed should be moving at all.
Betsy, your thoughts?
You know, this is definitely a great jobs report, but I think everyone's jumping the gun a little bit to think we're going to get this kind of job growth going forward. You know, 55,000 out of...
Now, I don't know if she just heard the report. They had to revise the previous months to go in excess of what they were. First time we've had 3 consecutive months of over 100,000 jobs. And she's like, I don't know if we're going to see this in the future. Honey, look at the calendar. look at the calendar and understand what's coming up. You may have another 1 or 2 months where it may stay the same or lower because of the summer months. But then you got the retail explosion, because the more people have in their pocket, the more they're going to get ready and they're going to buy for the Christmas and holiday season, plus travel. And so you right now we're in May. We may see a dip in June or July. And then once we get to the retail part where people are going to start hiring even more people for the seasonal rush.
Local government, I don't think local government's going to continue to hire at that rate. We will continue to see healthcare hiring. We got another roughly 50,000 in healthcare. I bet that's ongoing. But that leisure and hospitality, my best guess is that a lot of companies had been sort of waiting to see what the summer is going to look like. And what we're learning is consumers are remarkably resilient in this economy, and they're ready to dip into their savings, to use their credit card, to get out there and have their summer vacation. And so we saw, what may be an actual catch up in hiring and leisure and hospitality to get ready for that summer season. So, I think the market's jumping the gun and saying we're going to see rate hikes. If I was joining the cheeseburger bet, my bet would also be that it's going to be a hold this year rather than a hike. But I don't think a cut's coming anytime soon. And I'm going to point one weakness out that no one's mentioned, which is the rate of growth of long-term unemployed, people unemployed for 6 months or more. That is continuing to grow, and we're seeing unemployment duration overall continuing to grow. So this is
now that coincides with the people who don't want to work. They'd rather stay on SNAP, they'd rather stay on welfare or WIC or whatever instead of getting a job. And that's the sticking point at this point. Said point twice. That's the sticking point at which President Trump and all the economists out there, they're having a hard time getting a lever and getting these people off their butts. The Democrats are sitting on them. Just stay. Just take all the time you need. We're going to take care of you. And that's the only part that we're having a problem with, because when you couple that with the amount of illegals that aren't working anymore, now we've got this gap. We have this gap that we should be filling with Americans, but they don't want to work. They're just sitting back going, nope, don't want to do it. Yeah, I got to get my nails done or whatever, my extensions, instead of going to do the work. Once we took that huge swath of illegals out of the workforce, there's a giant vacuum. And for God forbid, the Americans don't want to fill it. We have lazy Americans who do not want to take the jobs that are available. Not that there aren't any jobs available. The unemployment isn't up because, well, it's not up at all, but there's not long-term unemployment because there isn't opportunity. They have sucked the ability for people in this country to explore opportunity, to get out there and do something. Many of you who are on a fixed income or maybe retired, that's different. I'm talking about able-bodied younger people who have the opportunity to go work and participate in this economy, who at this point decided, I'd rather eat bonbons and get my nails done. Oh yeah, and have babies.
Still a low hire labor market. Even though we're seeing, some pretty good and healthy job growth, which means people can find jobs if they stick to it and keep looking, but it's not an easy task, and it's taking people longer to find those jobs.
It's not supposed to be easy. That's just it. That's a liberal mentality. It's not easy. It's not easy for the companies because people don't want to come in and work. Nobody on the left is talking about that. Oh, we can't afford anything and groceries are so. Well, what are you doing? If you're sitting back, not working, then everything's going to feel more expensive. I know, I'd say it. You probably have done it. I've worked too. I've worked as many as 3 jobs at one time to get things to where I want to get to. And now we've got people who are resisting on purpose, not politically, just don't want to work. We can't get these people into the market.
Okay,
You're
Rick.
exactly right. Oh my goodness, she's exactly right. This long-term, people that are not looking for work are falling out of the program because they're not part of the labor force. They're not working. They're not looking. This is really a serious issue. And I do want to point out, Joe, the Dow futures now are up 70 points. So even though the market has priced this in, maybe the market's pricing in that it's not going to stop. And the only thing I didn't agree with that last guest is that this may stop. Okay, now it's, various local governments. Next month it'll be something else. Last month it was something else. There's different pockets of the economy that I think will continue to contribute to strong jobs numbers down the road.
Rick, someone points out that SNAP benefits, the requirements don't expand on June 1st, but June 1st, this is the first month where people could lose benefits because of non-compliance with the requirements. All this.
Now that's what we're going to see. That other lady, she didn't factor that in. When you hear him talking and he says that the market has basically priced it in, they know, as I don't know if you knew, that in less than 60 days, your SNAP benefits go away if you don't try to work. So you can't say it's not going to change, because you don't change, you're not going to eat, unless they go find some judge to say it's illegal to make people work, which they may find a judge who say that. Maybe if they get DEI Jackson to say it. But as of, I forget the exact date, but within the next month or so, your SNAP benefits go away if you are not working. And it's not you don't got to work 80 hours. I think it's like 30 hours a month. Just get out there. Just get millions of people doing 30 hours a month is going to basically shorten that gap and cause the economy to grow even further. But they don't want to work.
In the OBBB, would that change the participation rate in your view eventually?
I think it will. I think it will in a subtle way. And this administration is obviously very aware based on what you just pointed out. And I hope that there's other issues that are brought forth. Remember, the Obama administration did the same thing. We need various litmus tests for our very generous entitlements. There's many out there, handicapped, elderly. They need some help. I get it. But there's a whole lot of others that really don't.
Now, that's the problem. And even in our chat, nobody is talking about people who have physical or mental incapacities. If you have a physical or mental incapacity, that's what the system is designed for. You are the safety. You are supposed to be caught in the safety net. So don't think anybody is talking about you because you can't possibly participate, because that's exactly why these programs are there. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the Twinkie eating, M&M eating, sitting on television, flipping the channels, watching Netflix that you're paying for and don't want to work. That's who we're talking about. I salute you. I salute you just for the fact that you'd love to be able to work. Imagine that. There are people, maybe even in this chat, who would say, man, I'd love to participate. I would love to get up and get out there. I just physically can't, or I mentally can't. That's fine. You are the people that all of these systems are supposed to be helping. The Democrats, on the other hand, they found that loophole and they just shoved as many bodies into it as possible. But now what these guys aren't thinking about is all the fraud that's being found, all these different things that they're doing. People are going to have to work or they won't eat. Period. You're not going to get SNAP benefits. You're not going to sit there and do whatever you want for free on our backs unless you try to work.
Okay. Betsy, you want to jump back in on that? This is Rick agreeing with you. Is that the right way of going about it?
Well, what I have seen is a labor market for really the last year and a half, since January of 2025, where 86% of the jobs have gone to women, and it's because the vast majority of our job growth has been in healthcare. And so it's not that it's coming from one sector this month and another sector the next month. What we're seeing is a labor market that is primarily being driven by healthcare jobs. And that is not a labor market that is as strong as it could be in terms of providing that robust job growth across the board. You know, the goods producing sector is basically flat over the year, the entire sector. Sure, we saw a little bit of growth this month. That's great. But where we've seen job growth over the last year has been only in one place: healthcare. And I want to see a diffusion index that is a lot better in order to think that our labor market's as strong as it could be.
Hey, Michael, you said not to worry about inflation, that the Fed shouldn't be watching it too closely because you think this is transitory, basically, because of what's happening in the situation in the Gulf with Iran. How long could that continue before you think that becomes a more permanent issue that works its way through the system? The inflation.
So I'm hesitant to ever use the word transitory after Jay Powell, I think, rightly retired that word.
That's why I used it.
Yes.
How do we know it's not transitory?
I would say
it's not transitory with quotes.
I think markets recognize that the president's got to get gas prices down sometime midsummer, certainly by Labor Day, in order to fall elections. And so that means if we don't have some type of resolution by mid-July, early August, I think then people are going to think perhaps it's going to be more permanent. Now, if I can back into the discussion Betsy and Rick were just having, I do think that SNAP benefits on the margin will help with labor force participation. We also did some tightening of requirements under Medicaid, but we need to do that across all of these federal benefit programs. As he said, if we're not going to get labor force growth from immigration, and if you just look at population growth, native-born population growth, it's stagnating, which means that we are going to have to get labor force participation up if we're going to fill all the jobs that are out there. And
that's where the problem is. I think the Democrats understood that. They understood as we were deporting people and shipping them out of the country, those were people, some of them who were working even though they weren't supposed to be here, and all the construction jobs and everything that these people were doing, some of them high paying, but they weren't supposed to be here. And to fill those jobs, we have a vast amount of people who aren't qualified to do it. You just can't decide to be an electrician tomorrow. You can't be a roofer tomorrow. You have to have been trained in doing it. And so we're going to have a bit of a lag as we're building all these data centers and all kinds of factories. There's nobody to do it now that we've done what we wanted to do to get the deportation out. The people sitting at home don't want to work. So now, it's actually a good problem. It's actually something we can sit back and go, okay, so we got phase one done. Now we got to get to phase two. We got to get Americans trained. We got to get Americans to a perspective where they feel like they're productive in society.
It's going to mean increasing the requirements on the safety net in order to encourage people to come back into the labor force. With the modernization of the jobs that are out there, people can be working longer. They are less physically labor intensive. And so we really do need to revisit the social contract with regard to the benefits that are offered, given the employment needs that we are going to continue to have if this labor demand is going to continue.
That's it. So when you're looking at the economy, you're seeing different numbers and what's happening, and you're watching the indices. You're watching indications and levers being pulled by people who have the ability to pull them, even in your own circle of people. The problem we're having is if you decide, I want to open up a second studio, and if I want to open a third studio and I need to bring in people to build it out, where are they going to be coming from? When you call the contractor, you're hoping your contractor has enough people to do what they need to do. But if they don't, where are they getting the people from? And then also, as we know with the retail happening in the fall, going into the winter, where people are going to be buying for Christmas and everything else, construction up in the northern states slows down because it's cold outside. So it's a good problem. We're on the right track. But we have a huge swath of the population that just doesn't want to play. They don't want to earn. They don't want to be productive members of society. It's a shame because everything else looks great. Gas prices will come down. That's just one part. They already are. I showed you yesterday they're down 20 plus cents, 40 plus cents in 1 week. So everything is looking very good. And then next week, in the next 10, 12 days, I think we're going to see things just shoot through the moon. But the reality of the bottom of our economy. I won't even say, I'm not even want to say bottom, but there's a huge hole that we need to figure out how to fill. And maybe that's something you guys can do, is motivate some people in your circle to get out there, go get a job. And if you are older, I'm 65, there might be some things technologically that you can do from home. I've got 4 sisters and they're all thinking about moving down here because they're all working remotely. It's so understand your skills, the skill set that you've had, that you worked for 30 plus years, might be able to be parlayed into something else, like the gentleman I just read the email from. So let me just tell you, President Trump is due up here. Well, it's actually past 4 o'clock. I want to bring on, I think they're bringing in Brooke Rollins here to talk. Let's listen in on her.
Johnson, who is so excited that President Donald J. Trump is here today with us on this beautiful farm in Wisconsin. Oh my goodness, y'all. Listen, a couple of really quick things, and then I think we're going to get this show on the road. Number one, there is no one, no president in American history, at least in our lifetimes, that loves our farmers and rural America more than President Trump. Can I hear an amen? There is no one that is going to fight more to ensure that we can preserve the last best hope of freedom in the world. And the only way to do that is to preserve this way of life. Rural America, the heart of America, the original founding of America, our incredible agriculture, rural America, farmers, ranchers. Can I get an amen? There is nowhere in America, nowhere in the world, but in this country, where we put our farmers, our ranchers, what we do, what you do every day, the righteousness of tilling the land, the hard work, the importance of feeding and fueling and clothing, not only America, but the world. Can I get an amen? Y'all, it is the honor of a lifetime to serve in President Trump's cabinet. It is the honor of a lifetime to be the 33rd Secretary of Agriculture. You all have to know that every minute of every day, of every week, of every month, we are fighting for you. And you have to know that we understand the extraordinary challenges that we are facing right now out in rural America. But I also want you to know that no one will work harder, no one will fight harder, and no one will be your back, have your back more than President Donald Trump. Can I get an amen? You know, the final thing I want to say is that we are celebrating the 250th birthday of America this year. And in fact, just in a few weeks in Washington and around this country, when George Washington, our founding farmer, also founding father, decided to stand up and to fight for freedom with Thomas Jefferson, with James Madison, with John Adams. They were just normal, everyday, average Americans who knew that God had called them for something greater than what they were doing, who knew that they were called for this moment in time to save freedom, to save our country, to start the best, most incredible experiment of freedom in world history. And now today, together in this hall, we are all called for that same moment in time. God bless you all. God bless Wisconsin. God bless our farmers and our ranchers. We will never stop fighting for you. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
All right, so President Trump should be coming up any moment. As soon as he comes up, I will definitely cut right to him. Let's see if SV's gotten the interim information on anything breaking. Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm going to throw a ball from Johnson of Chicago. Oh, I fumbled it. Are you going to talk about that story? Is that your story?
I don't know how long President Trump is going to be on stage. So I'm assuming it's not going to be like a press conference. But after that, I got a whole bunch. I got to talk to you about the New York Knicks with President Trump.
Yeah.
President Trump did a gaggle on Air Force One. What else? The Bears.
The Bears.
The
All right, I'll leave
Bears.
that one be then. I'll let that
big,
be.
big. Okay, in case you guys, what he's talking about, what we're talking about is the Chicago Bears are no longer going to be the Chicago Bears. I don't know what they're going to call themselves, but they are moving to Indiana. Good job, Pritzker and Brandon Johnson.
Wow, good job.
And when you hear what Pritzker had to say, it's probably going to make you throw up because it is the epitome of liberal stupidity. I mean, it's so bad. But we'll cover that. Like I said, I don't think President Trump will be up for a long time in this roundtable. Probably, I'd say most 45 minutes, and then I got a bunch of news that I'm going to cover with you guys. Yeah, the Knicks, the Bears, and some other stuff as well.
Well, I got something to speak about stupid people. So this just came in. Remember the ICE protests in New Jersey?
Mm-hmm.
So just now, Tom Homan says even if rioters shut down Delaney Hall in Newark, ICE will simply take those detainees and fly them to places like Texas, which means detainees lose the privilege of easy family visitation. Clearly, the rioters haven't thought this through.
No, they haven't. They have
clue. Yeah, he goes, we're going to keep on arresting people. We're going to keep detaining people. We're going to keep removing people. You're not going to shut down ICE enforcement. You're certainly not going to abolish ICE.
No.
Nice. You're not going to stop us from doing our job, Tom Homan.
When I heard the numbers this morning and I was watching CNBC and some of the other networks, which I'll show you, I didn't realize that the deportations were having such an issue in the job market. And so I don't know if people weren't paying attention to that, but yeah, once you extract all those people out of the job market, at this point, it could be millions. Yeah. So like, what do you do at this point? So, yeah.
Kind of like the millions of mail-in ballots in California.
So, oh man, I am so sick of California. People like, you gonna talk about it? I'm like, why? We know what's happening until somebody does something. There's no light needed to be shown on those roaches. Everybody knows those roaches are running around. Every single person understands at this point they're stealing it. They are literally stealing it right in front of, and all we can do is watch. I mean, I'm in Florida, you're in Virginia, neither of us are in California, and it's a damn shame, but we knew that they were going to do something like this, and now they're doing it, and everybody knows it. Everybody.
Yeah, well, about 20 minutes ago, the California Democrat Secretary of State is now tripling down on the mail-in ballot shenanigans, saying, get this, accuracy comes before speed.
Yeah.
She goes, we have millions of ballots to process and count. I mean, how about India? They counted 640 million.
See, it's not the counting part. It's that curing thing. You heard about that.
Yeah.
That is, if there's something wrong, then they go out to you and say, did you really want to do this? And that it's insane. It's the Supreme. Our courts are moving too slow.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I saw a story. I'm not sure it was totally verified, but I can tend to believe it because they did that during the last election. 24,000, I think, mail-in ballots came in, and not one of them was for Spencer Pratt.
Zero.
I mean, that's statistically freaking possible.
Zero. Well, it's the exact same thing that happened to Trump. 115,000 came in for Biden and not a single vote for Trump. And everybody's like, yeah, that's just how it was. It just insults you to your face to hear it. I mean,
absolutely.
There are all kinds of videos of people getting stacks of ballots in there. The ballots are everywhere. I mean, right now we could probably drive into Los Angeles and still vote. And somehow still get it postmarked by last Tuesday. I don't know how.
Oh yeah,
but it'll get it. But
all you have to do is write. Yeah, all you have to do is write election on an envelope, and they will process it. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
They are lost. Yeah, they're going to find a way to keep their people in there, but you know, if they do, they're done. They're done.
All right. Let me go to a commercial because it sounds like he's getting ready to come on. So I definitely don't want to miss him. I'll be back to you. Be back to you. All right, everybody. President Trump is probably minutes away. I can show you the stage right now. Is it this button? Wow, talk about loud. They got some seriously loud music playing in there. Wait a second. All right, let me show. Woo, wow, that's really loud. Cut. But anyway, this is the scene in Wisconsin right now with a couple of John Deere tractors and a bunch of people waiting for President Trump. So this isn't a rally. It's not a speech. As I don't know if you can see the table up there. If I put my mouse over it, but you can see the table, and there's like 4 name cards there. So there's going to be like 3, 4, 5 people talking about farmers. And obviously, there's some farmers there. So this should be an interesting discussion. Before that gets on here, let me tell you about Chapter Medicare. I also got an email from somebody, or text. No, it was a tweet from somebody who goes, I just talked to Chapter and it worked out fantastic. See, because Medicare is confusing. And as someone who recently turned 65 myself, back in August, I can confirm this. Keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding all your options, and making sure you're on the right plan takes too much time and energy. And between Medicare scams, corrupt agents, and bloated insurance companies, it's easy to make mistakes that can cost you thousands, literally. That's why I'm happy I got in touch with the guys from Chapter. Even though they're a partner on the show, we actually do our business with them. They're actually honest, and the only Medicare advisor that looks at every single plan nationwide, helping people save an average of $1,100 per year. That's almost $100 a month. It's incredible. You know, they will help you. If they can help you switch insurance companies, they will. These guys won't push you to buy a plan you don't want, and their support is completely free. So if you're turning 65 soon or have questions about your own coverage, give them a call. Call them at 475-328-3545 to get the most out of Medicare. Most people wish they'd call sooner. Or you can go to the website, askchapter.org/Barry, and just go there and set up your appointment. Like I said, it takes about, 15, 20 minutes. I'd say give it 20, 25 minutes, and they'll help you out and get you all set up. All right, we'll be right back.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
So we had incredible job numbers today. You saw that. And we have good everything, good numbers, but the job numbers just came out and they were fantastic. Far better than even anticipated. They anticipated pretty good, but they had no idea it was going to be that. And unfortunately, we're in a world where for the last 15 years or so, when you have good numbers, the market goes down. When you have bad numbers, the market goes up because too much emphasis is placed on inflation. And you don't have to have inflation by having growth. And we have great growth, and that doesn't mean inflation. In fact, it can be anti-inflation growth. So I hope the market starts to learn that when you have good numbers, the market should go up, not down. Question?
Sorry, given those job numbers, do you think the Fed should cut rates at its next meeting? And do you think new chair Kevin Warsh can convince the rest of the
Kevin make that decision? I'd like to see lower interest rates because each point, think of this, is $600 billion. Okay? So, you know.
You said yesterday you're interviewing some candidates for permanent director of national intelligence. Who's under consideration for it?
I have 5 interviews, and we'll have a very good person watching things, Bill Pulte. But I have 5 interviews. So cutting rates, now, just getting back to you, you save hundreds of millions of dollars when you take 1 point off. Hundreds of millions of dollars. 2 points, you save double hundreds of millions of dollars. And so I therefore, you know, from that standpoint. But someday we're going to have to go back to the old theory. When we're doing so good, we have more auto plants being built than we've ever had. We have more plants being built than we've ever. All these numbers are good. But when the numbers are good, we should be allowed to grow, not to stymie the growth. We had a Fed chair that didn't understand that.
Financial markets are now pricing in a cut, actually, for the October meeting.
I would like to see that, but I leave that up.
A hike for the October meeting.
I leave it up to Kevin. But I've always said, and I've said it for years, when you have a country that's doing well, the market should go up. The market should. And the reason they go down is if it's doing well, people say, no, we have to stop inflation. And it doesn't mean inflation. In fact, it can be just the opposite.
So if a hike before the midterm elections mean, though, if they were to hike...
$600 billion every point.
Why do you want Bill Pulte to cut the office, why do you want Bill Pulte to cut the office of the Director of National Intelligence? And how long is he going to be in that role?
Depends on how long it takes to get somebody approved. He'll do a very good job. He'll watch it closely, but Bill Pulte is very good. He's very talented. Done a great job at Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. The value there is close to $1 trillion. We built a value that's incredible. So he's done a very good job in that. He'll do a good job. He's watching for, during this time period.
And you want to cut the number of people working there?
I wouldn't mind. I've heard that's way too high for way too long. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. If he cut, I wouldn't mind that.
Artificial intelligence, are you considering the possibility of the U.S. government taking stakes in some AI companies?
Well, it's something. I did it with Intel. So I made a deal on Intel. I made for the country $50 billion. We took a stake in Intel. It was given to us by our helpmate. I said, look, we'll help you, but you have to give us 10% of the company. That was Intel just 9 months ago. And as I think we made about $50 billion on that deal.
Would you want to do it for AI?
I did a very good job. I should be a stockbroker.
Mr. President. Yes, sir. Beautiful. I'm going to change the subject if you don't mind. Did you get a chance to watch Game 1 of the NBA Finals? What'd you think?
I did. Well, I'll be going to Game 3. I guess it's Game 3 on Monday. I thought it was amazing. I think the Knicks have an amazing team the way they played. Started off slow and it just got stronger and stronger. Wemby looks like he's going to be a great player, but they really played well.
Quick follow-up. Did you see Wemby crossing his arms during the U.S. national anthem? Did you have any thoughts on that?
I did not see that. Is that what he did?
He did, yes.
What did he mean by that?
Nobody asked him.
Well, I guess you have to ask him.
Well, who's your favorite Nick?
Towns is fantastic. Towns is fantastic. We just have a great team.
What do you think that the game you're going to, the cheapest price for the game 3 you're going to is $8,000? Everyday Americans can't afford these sporting events.
No, but they can watch it on television. It's sort of semi-free to watch it on television, but that's the way life goes. You have some, and now if the team wasn't a big success.
Okay, so that's the one everyone's talking about. That question right there. She tried to bait him. Most people can't afford to go to these games. Most people can't buy a Hummer. Most people can't buy a Cybertruck. What are you saying? That's just the way life goes. Why did that sound so bad to the left? I mean, they're all screaming about it. It's like Marie Antoinette and all this kind of stuff, the things I was seeing. Yeah, not everybody can afford it. What's your next question? Man, we got to stop coddling morons. There are certain people who can't do certain things. And depending on where you are in your life, there's got to be things up there you can't do. Doesn't mean you're a lesser person. That does exactly mean that's life. And you're never going to make, like somebody had put in one of my posts, like it's not fair. Like, I don't give a shit about fair. The market will determine the pricing. If it's $7,500 for a nosebleed seat, if nobody buys it, the price will come down. It's not fair. It's the market. More people are willing to pay to see the Knicks play than the other people can afford. Sorry. What else was he supposed to say? Oh, I feel bad. It's awful. We got to figure out a way for these $1 million basketball players to take less money. Why don't you ask them? Why does nobody ask Taylor Swift? Why don't you charge less for your show instead of, getting all this money? Every single one of those players on the New York Knicks can say, you know what? Just during this series, I'm going to play for free. You don't have to pay me, so that we can make the tickets, I don't know, a couple $100. But that's never going to happen. Ever.
Yes, you can go very easily. So, you can do that too. But that's the way life is. They've had great success. And don't forget, they've suffered also losses, and they've suffered during the bad time. Now they have a good time. They have a team that's amazing. I don't think they've lost a playoff game, right?
Do you have any advice?
Very unusual. Has that ever happened before? Has anyone ever had this kind of a run in a playoff game?
Do you have any?
On the new promenade you announced yesterday, Mr. President, where is the funding going to come from?
It's not a lot of money, and it's going to be beautiful. It's always been, the Lincoln Memorial has always been very tied to the Potomac River, but they built 2 roadways behind it unexpectedly at the time, many years ago, but after the memorial was built. It used to have a tie to the river, and then the highways cut it off. And we have a really beautiful plan where it goes over a beautiful series of platforms that bring you right down to the river. It's beautiful. What's a promenade? It's a beautiful promenade. It can come from we have a lot of sources of funding. We won't have to go back to Congress. We have a lot of sources of funding. And a lot of people have asked me to stay involved with the Kennedy Center. We had a judge who's totally conflicted, but that's all right. He's a totally conflicted judge, should be ashamed of himself. But they've asked me in the strongest of language to stay involved with the Kennedy Center. We want to see, because the building it's very dangerous, number one. Number two, it was losing for years tremendous amounts of money. So I'm considering that. But a lot of people have asked me to get it fixed. We have to fix the Kennedy Center, or both physically and from the standpoint of attendance.
Mr. President, on oil and gas prices, I know you're saying that the oil prices and gas prices will fall after the conflict ends. Would you limit exports of gasoline if prices in the short term go up?
So we have a lot of alternatives, but the beautiful thing from our standpoint is we have more oil and gas and coal and everything else than any other country on the planet. And then when you add Venezuela to it, we have probably 64% of that type of energy. That's unbelievable. The Venezuela is working out very well. We're getting along incredibly. The country is happy. The people love the USA. And we have a lot of, the big oil companies are moving in there now as we speak. And we're going to be taking out millions of barrels of oil.
Are U.S. oil majors doing enough to boost output in the U.S.? Are you asking them to do more?
Well, we have everything we need. The world doesn't. But I will say, people thought it was going to be a lot worse. Today I looked at $96 a barrel. People thought that was going to be $300 a barrel. And in the meantime, we're having great success with Iran. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And they're in no position to have a nuclear weapon.
Senator Tillis said he won't support Todd Blanche's confirmation unless Todd Blanche condemns January 6th. Do you have a reaction to that?
Senator Tillis is a loser. That's why he didn't run. He didn't run because I wouldn't support him. And he's just an angry man because he's not going to be a senator any longer. He wasn't respected in the Senate. He fought a lot of people. He fought Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth turned out to be a gem. Now, Senator Tillis is a loser, stone cold, and he's an angry man because I basically, he was forced to leave the Senate because I wouldn't support him, and he quit. So now he's trying to make trouble by, opposing anybody. Todd Blanche is a brilliant guy who everybody likes and everybody respects. And Tillis is always like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He should have done it before when he was a senator. He would have gotten wiped out in a race. But he needed my support, and I said, I can't give you my support. He's not qualified. He's not good for the position of senator. I didn't hear about what he did with Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is fantastic.
Sir, on the AI companies potentially taking these equity stakes, have you spoken to Sam Altman or any of the other Anthropic?
Concept out there's so much money, and it's so big that there are concepts where pieces could be given to the American public, where the American public essentially becomes a partner with the companies. And I will tell you, I have spoken to all of them. There's something very interesting about it, where it almost becomes a partnership with the American public. And we'll look into that. We are looking. I actually have a meeting scheduled in the very near future with, did you know that, with all of the companies. And we're talking about it, where the American people can benefit from the success of AI. And by doing that, they're going to like it better. Because we're leading China. We're leading everybody in the world with AI. And we want to keep it that way. It's probably the biggest industry maybe that we've ever seen.
Which companies in the meeting?
All of them.
Anthropic,
all the big ones, yeah.
SpaceX?
They're all coming to the White House probably next week.
And is the idea that that would be dividends for the American people?
We're going to see. We're going to see. Sort of, it's like you make them a partnership in this revolution. It would be a beautiful thing. And
Senator Bernie,
it would make them rich.
Senator Bernie Sanders proposed this 50% managed public-private partnership.
I've been talking about it for the last year.
But is it odd to be kind of on the same page with Senator Sanders?
No, actually, when Bernie Sanders was taken advantage of with Hillary Clinton and he lost in the primaries, a lot of people think he didn't lose. He had two of them, right? He lost then and he lost the second time with Biden. But when Bernie Sanders lost, you know that I got many of his people. They voted for me. Because we are on an economic plan, as far as economics is concerned. We have certain things that aren't that far apart. People are surprised. But many of you, if you'll take a look, many of the people that voted for Bernie Sanders, when he was no longer there to vote for, they went to me. I picked up a tremendous amount of his voters.
Just one more. How much oil have you gotten through the strait with the help of naval escorts? And are you directing U.S. forces to guide those ships through the strait, more tankers through the strait?
A lot. I don't want to say how many, but a lot. A lot of oil is coming into our country. A lot of oil is coming into the world that people don't even know about. And that's why it's at $97 a barrel instead of $300 a barrel. And when that whole thing is straightened out, it shouldn't take long. One way or the other, it's going to get done. And when it's all straightened out, you're going to have oil prices drop down to maybe even lower than they were. And you've heard me say this, I was in Iowa, and for a gallon of gasoline, it was at $1.85. That was 3.5 months ago.
Last year, the the FBI reopened, last year the FBI reopened its investigation into the cocaine found in the White House during the Biden administration. Have you been briefed on where that investigation stands?
No, but I might ask about it. I might ask, you mean in the shelves where they found the cocaine, actually? No, I might ask about it, sorry.
Have you made a decision on the arms sales to Taiwan, that package, the $14 billion?
We're looking at that, yeah.
Are you still planning to talk to Taiwan's president about it?
I'll always talk to him, but we're looking at it.
What was your reaction to John Bolton agreeing to plead guilty in the classified documents?
Well, I was never much of a fan of John Bolton. I never thought he was a smart person. And he was a radical right in terms of war, not in terms of other things. He wanted to go to war with anybody that opened their mouth, anybody that talked. And I used him for a purpose. You know, he was involved with Bush and he created a lot of problems. But he always wanted to kill people in war. And that was okay for me as long as I didn't listen to him, which I never did. He's a bad guy, John Bolton. He's a dirty guy, and we caught him. You know, we caught him. And, you know, he wrote a book. You look at all the information he took. I mean, if you look at that case, it's a great honor to have helped from the standpoint of encouragement. I looked at John Bolton as somebody that was a very dishonest guy and not a smart guy. And I guess he's paying the price for certainly being dishonest.
You mentioned the Kennedy Center, sir. How do you want to be involved moving forward?
The same way it is. I'm the chairman. So we'll just keep it going. Somebody has to do it. It loses a lot of money. It has for years. It's lost hundreds of millions of dollars for years. And yet it's something you have to keep going. You know, it's the arts. They all lose money. Carnegie Hall. You take a look at all of that kind of thing loses. So they really, everybody, they want me to say very badly. So we're gonna take a look at it.
You also mentioned Fannie Mae and
the judge really hurt the Kennedy Center because he slowed down. We were we're gonna spend a lot of money on fixing it and making it, bringing it back to health. And the judge really made it very hard to do that. But I'm gonna look at his ruling on that. But we have to bring it back physically. We have to bring it back, and we have to bring it back in other ways. So we'll take a good look at it.
you mentioned Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. With Pulte's move over as now acting DNI, is an IPO off the table?
No, it's not. We're thinking about an IPO for that. It's not a rush, but we've created a tremendous. You know, I could have sold that for literally less than 10% in my first term. I was offered. A lot of people were offering me money to me, meaning the country, to buy Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, as you know. And it suffered tremendous hardship. And then we built it back. And I could have sold it in my first term for 1/10 of what it's worth now, and I didn't want to do it. Now I think we would consider an IPO, yeah.
And he would potentially see that through.
He's staying there.
So then who are the people you're talking to for DNI? Can you give us some names?
5 different people, all very good, all people that you know very well, all people that do that kind of thing, and they're very respected people.
Mr. President, what do you think about Major League Baseball owners pushing for a salary cap? Do you think it's time for baseball to have a salary cap?
So they sort of have one, don't they?
It's a luxury tax threshold, but the teams that have the money are willing to spend it, like the Dodgers.
You don't have a salary cap, you don't have a sport, because they can't help themselves. You know, in sports, they can't help themselves. Football has a salary cap.
Every major professional league except Major League Baseball in America.
They should have done it a long time ago. I know so much about sports. They should have done it a long time ago. We're trying to help save college sports because they got some rulings that really essentially destroyed college sports. And we're working with Randy Levine and Nick Saban and some great people who are trying to save it because it's so horrible.
What do you think could happen if this NIL just gets completely out of control and nobody checks it?
Well, I think what's going to happen if you don't have what they're trying to do now, that's sort of a cap in a certain way. If you don't have that, you really have a problem. And not only college sports, colleges, where you see where Penn State lost $500 million, where a certain school that I like very much in Florida, they lose $400 or $500 million. You can't have that. Nobody can afford that because because they go crazy. That's why when you say Major League Baseball, it's shocking, frankly, that they didn't put a cap on many years ago. They had a chance to do a cap and they blew it.
Sir, on Ukraine, now that Zelensky has proposed a face-to-face meeting with Zelensky, do you still want them to go first before the U.S. gets involved in talks?
Well, I don't mind. I mean, it's let them deal. I'm the one that got them to this position. And I think that's going to get worked out. I think we're getting close to where Russia, Ukraine should have. It's a war that should have never happened. Would have never happened if I was president. But I think that's going to get worked out. Yeah.
Will Secretary Rubio take a more active role, or do you expect it still be Jared and Steve?
Be involved. JD, everybody. We'll all be involved. We want to see it done. You know, we're not spending money. They're buying things from us, actually, at full price. With Biden, he gave them everything. This gave them hundreds of billions of dollars of weapons and everything else. But it's a war that should have never happened, and it's a war that has to be. Last week, 25,000 people over the course of the month, 25,000 people were killed. Russia, Ukraine, 25,000. It's not acceptable. Not acceptable. Thank you very much. Have a good time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
They're rocking some Elvis while they're waiting for President Trump. So that was his gaggle. They only did an audio version so you could hear. I understand the airplanes. It's 2026, and they still haven't found a way to soundproof the inside of an airplane. Interesting. But anyway, they're still getting set. He hasn't come out, as you can see, yet. So he is 42 minutes late, as we can see. So we're waiting. Luckily, make sure I have lots of content to go through. You got to hear the stupidity of I think what the problem is with the people who travel on a plane with President Trump are usually younger, inexperienced reporters. The big anchors, the other ones, they don't do that. So it's like you earn your stripes. You gotta get your bones on Air Force One and do that. And these people have never worked. They've never done anything. They've gone to school and did some journalism, whatever, and then they get to cover the White House, and then all of a sudden they're trying to ask questions. But they don't understand any of the questions that they're asking. And they don't understand that the regular people really don't care about the stuff that they're trying to, poke and get the answers for. It's really bad. They just have to keep looking on their phone for questions instead of just asking stuff. I mean, you have the opportunity to ask the President of the United States a question. Ask him something that other people might have in mind as well. And worrying about the price of a ticket for the Knicks game, if President Trump didn't go, it's still $7,500 a ticket. Doesn't matter. And he's not paying for it. He's going to be up in the owner's booth or something. And down on the front line will be John McEnroe and what's his name? Spike Lee and all these different celebrities. Nobody's asking them. Hey, Spike, you got a front row seat at the court side. Do you know that's probably a $50,000 seat or more? Don't you feel bad that other people can't afford it? Nobody's ever going to ask him that. No one's going to ask McEnroe. No one's going to ask who else goes to these games. Adam Sandler. Nobody's going to ask these celebrities that same question. How is it President Trump's fault what the Knicks are charging to watch basketball? Makes no sense whatsoever. None. All right. So with that being said, let me jump to the next section before he comes out. This was a montage of people talking about the economy. And I saw somebody put, no, the economy's not bad. If you say the economy's not bad, you should put an asterisk and say not good. It's not good for me. Because all the indicators, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie whatsoever. So let's continue.
So unemployed less than 5 weeks, down 286,000. One of the big issues have been people losing their jobs and not being able to get one. That's phenomenal. People unemployed because of economic reasons, working part-time, that's down 137,000. Those are the little nuances that tell you, to Steve Moore's point, how great this economy is working, how great these policies are working. As far as the market is concerned, I think investors who have made a ton of money are going to be loath to just move to the sidelines. In addition to all that money in money markets and other things, you're going to see rotation. Small caps have looked great. They came out the gate strong. Equal weight stocks came out the gate strong. I think they can.
Wait a second. I think he may be coming on. Hold on. I'm looking. I just heard him say, ladies and gentlemen. So looks like they're starting. I don't know who these people are, but we shall see shortly. I didn't cut the music. That they just cut the sound as these people are coming out. So these are the people who are going to be sitting on the round table with President Trump. Once they get seated, I'm pretty sure what we'll hear is, I don't know if he'll come out to the Lee Greenwood song today, or if he'll just walk out and just sit with everybody. But more than likely, as soon as these people are seated and the microphones are turned on, they'll probably start the music, which would be the Lee Greenwood song. So I'm not sure who in the cabinet is there. I know that Brooke Rollins, she was there. Maybe we might see Doug Burgum. We might see Chris Wright. I see Chris Wright. I think that's him on the end on the right-hand side, bending over. And the music is getting queued up. So President Trump should be coming up momentarily.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know who's doing it, but whoever's running the event, he'll be coming up shortly. So let me go back to this while they're still getting all that stuff ready.
Pick up where they sort of left off when the Iran conflict began. So I'm extremely bullish on all of this.
The U.S. economy adding 172,000 jobs last month. That easily surpassed the forecast, which was for 105,000. Also, March and April were both revised higher. That is encouraging, and that means that the U.S. economy has now added 100,000 jobs or more in 3 straight.
Look at that. 3 straight months. 214, 179, 172. Fantastic. I don't know, when people say the economy's not doing well, it's kind of hard to argue against this.
Months, we haven't seen that in more than 2 years.
You double the number, what's happening?
Yeah, it's absolutely a blowout number. And the thing that's most astonishing about it is we look at the forecast of everybody that's surveyed at Bloomberg, and not a single person got this number right. That happens quite a bit. But the error from the top person to this number was about 50,000 jobs. And so, right now, Wall Street just does.
Your job, you are an expert, an economic forecaster. You make the projections, essentially economic polling versus voter polling. And you miss, you miss by almost a third. That's how bad your projections are. How the hell can we continue calling you an expert if people are who the so-called experts can't even get this right?
Understand that the Trump economy is really creating an economic golden age. And then another thing that is probably not going to make the headlines, certainly not in the fake news, is that the numbers keep getting revised up. So you remember under Biden, they kept revising the numbers down. Well, we find that the previous months, they jacked the numbers up by another 100,000.
Yeah, I see that. Revisions were higher in March and higher in April.
Just look at the overall economy. So we got rising wages in this country today. We have a construction and manufacturing. Those numbers on construction and manufacturing in terms of productivity are incredible. You've got blowout numbers on the stock market. You report every day. We are blowing away the rest of the world.
So when people, like the woman said, the economy's not booming, what is your basis? And like Steve Moore just said, we got this, we got this, we got this. What do you have to say that the economy is not booming? And I'd love to ask people that question. The person who said that, you're not getting bounced, would love to know when you say the economy is not booming, what's your source? What's your data point? Can't be the jobs, can't be unemployment, can't be wages. What is it that you are using to say that the economy is not doing well?
We're seeing is an enormous amount of positive momentum in hiring. Obviously, you're right that a couple of 170s in a row, that's a great couple of months, but then having upward divisions of around 100,000 means that this is a job market that's hitting on all cylinders. And it's our belief that this is happening because of all of the supply side policies that the president has put in place. We've got the big, beautiful bill with the, expensing for new factories. We've got, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, so people are out there working harder. We've got quit rates down to about as low as we've ever seen. We've got layoffs about as low as we've ever seen. This is about the strongest market of my lifetime and of your lifetime. And again, I don't think it's a classic Phillips curve, here goes inflation, it's going to take off kind of jobs market. It's a supply side driven job market boom, which I think means that the Fed can watch the inflation numbers and wait a while before it does anything about it.
Supply side, i.e., people need jobs. The manufacturers, the builders, people who are doing things need jobs. They need people to work. So I don't get it when people say that it's not booming. I would love to know what your specific indicator is that you're using to tell people, oh, the economy sucks. In what universe? One, gas prices might be higher. I don't know. I don't know what you're using. We're still waiting for President Trump to come up. Looking at all the other dignitaries are seated, waiting to come in. I wonder if I have enough time to go through this. This is let me see if I can run this. This is somebody earlier in one of the, I don't know if it was CNBC, that the one lady was talking, and she said there was an issue in local areas with people losing jobs. You want to know who's losing jobs in the local areas? Here you go.
I'm looking at this year's budget to determine what we may or may not need to do in light of the voters' decision come November.
Tonight, in a Gulf Coast News investigation, government agencies are preparing for budget cuts if voters slash property taxes. Those budgets are due in October, a month before you vote on the amendment. Thank you for counting on Gulf Coast News. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. Gulf Coast News chief political reporter Dave Elias is doing the math to find out what impact tax cuts will have on Lee County. He's in the studio with what he found.
Yeah. All right. So this is a story out of Florida that is really interesting because the left, the libtardery, has been trying to attack DeSantis because of the cut of property taxes that he feels, and most people feel who own property, we should not have to pay property taxes. It's a scam. And so now the local governments are freaked out. Wait to hear why they're freaked out.
If voters approve those property tax cuts, it means $120 million fewer dollars will be collected in 2027, another $120 million in 2028. That's a total of $240 million the county commissioners will not have to hand out. So the question now, what?
Bad choice of words, bro. Bad choice of words. The county and city administrators won't have this money, as he said, to hand out. His words, not mine. Why the hell are we handing out $240 million?
It's on the chopping block.
I've asked all my department heads to go back to their department budgets and only focus on the essentials.
Lee County Clerk of...
Shouldn't that be all they're focused on? Should you be looking at anything else but essentials? When I heard him say that, I was like, that is a typical idiot administrative nut. We're going to have to just focus on the essentials all of a sudden. Well, what have you been focusing on? What have you been handing money out to? You should be only focusing on the essentials.
Kevin Carnes typically gets about $16 million from the county to operate.
Personnel is going to be the largest part of my office's budget.
So it begs the question, will he have to cut?
And see, that's the problem. You're going to see a lot of government type employees get axed. They're the ones who are going to have to go find another job someplace, because once those essential things get paid, you find out the unessential thing, or the non-essential, are these people sitting in offices licking their fingers and eating lunch while no one's answering the damn phone.
Staff.
I think all options are on the table when we're looking at how to address property tax reform.
He's in a unique position. He doesn't get all of his operational money from the county alone.
Taking my entire office, I operate with $40 million, but that is a mixture of state money, local money, and fees.
Other county offices like the sheriff and supervisor of elections and transportation rely solely on county money. It means the county's Department of Transportation may have to spend less on paving roads and filling potholes. Simply put, only essential items may be funded if the county...
I think filling a pothole is an essential item, you morons. I think paying the police is an essential item. It's the other stuff you don't want to touch. That's the problem.
He loses $240 million.
I'm looking at mandatory and discretionary spending to determine whether we can make...
All right, we'll go back to that. President Trump is on his way to the stage to the familiar song. That's not me. They haven't put the microphones on yet. Hit the mic. All right.
Thank you very much, everybody. So, I just did an interview in the most beautiful barn I've ever seen. Ken, it was a beauty, but it was raining. And it was with NBC Fake News. And because it was raining, I got a little bit angry at them. I was not happy with them, but we had a good time. I just want to thank everybody for being here. We love the farmers. We love everything about your state. And you know, we won your state by a lot, and we've had great success here in Wisconsin, and we brought a lot of business to Wisconsin. We recommend it. I love the place. And hopefully you're going to be voting Republican, because frankly, Republican is, I call it the sane way to go. It's the sane way. Because what I'm seeing from the Democrats, they're going to have some problems. And by the way, if they don't, if they win, this country is finished. We're in trouble. So I hate to say that you have no choice, but I don't think you have much of a choice. These are some very sick puppies that I'm looking at that are running for office. And on the other side, I call them the Democrats, D-U-M. You take out the B. A lot of people don't know dumb has a B. You take out the B, and you change the E, you put the U, and you have a Democrat. But their policy is just outstandingly bad, and it's really bad for the farmer, because we were having record stuff, and then we had to put out a fire. We had to extinguish a nuclear weapon, a capable nuclear. This was going to be a very capable country that was going to have a massive nuclear presence, and we weren't going to let that happen. Nobody wanted that to happen, and we've largely finished that, you'll see. And one way or the other, it's finished. One way or the other, it's finished. It's either finished with a piece of paper or finished a more difficult way, although you could say a much easier way. As you know, with Iran, they have no Navy. 159 ships in 4 days. Even Ken is impressed by that. 4 days, 159 ships at the bottom of the sea. Not that we like that, but that's the way it is. And the blockade is unbelievable. There's never been a blockade like that. The Navy is. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. There's never been a military like it. And if you remember, when all the heat I was taking from the Democrats, will be nice, I'll use Democrats at least half the time. But if you remember the heat that I had to take to get help for the farmer and also to get help for the military, because they don't want anything to do with the military, the farmer, or for the most part, they don't want anything to do with anything good. And that's why the midterms are coming up. And I hope you people are really spiritized, because we're at a point, we're going to come out of Iran very quickly, and it's going to be very strong. One way or the other, whether it's a piece of paper or the very tough way, okay? The very tough way is maybe the easier way, but we're going to come out and your fertilizer prices are going to go way down, just like they were 4 months ago. Your fertilizer's down, your energy's down, your oil, your gas is all coming way down. And frankly, I thought it would go much higher than it did. I thought, frankly, that gasoline would be much higher than it was. I was in Iowa, another place I like a lot, and it was just before we started the excursion to Iran, and we passed gas stations. It was $1.85 a gallon, and we're going to get them down to those numbers again very quickly. But as they say in the farming business, we had to take care of business. Look at this guy over here. I don't know who the hell he is, but he is one hell of a specimen, I can tell you. This guy, this is one hell of a physical specimen. I thought I was big until I met you, Joe, you know? You're fantastic. That's what I like. Anyway, I just want to let you all know that I'm thrilled to be here at Custer Farms, and Ken and his family, they're amazing. I took pictures with them backstage and got to know them a little bit. They're really amazing people. They built this country. You all built this country. Not the complainers, not the wise guys. You all built this country. And I just want to... And I just want to let you know that Wisconsin, for me, has been just a great place. You know, it's known as difficult. It's difficult. You got to be good to win. But we won here, as you know. We won it a lot. And we're trying to figure out who the few people that voted against us are. We're looking for them right now. But today we're celebrating the historic strides for some of the most loyal, hardworking patriots anywhere in the nation. And they're really called our American farmers. And we're with you 1,000%, or I wouldn't be here. With you like you wouldn't believe. And you're going to see some very good things happen over the next 90-day period. I told Ken, 90 days, watch what happens. You're going to be better than you were 4 months ago. And before we begin, I'm delighted to report that for the third month in a row, the jobs numbers, I guess you saw them this morning, they just got released, and they smashed all expectations by actually 3 times with... And this is during a military conflict. I call it that because it's really not that much of a war, but it's a military conflict. It's a practice. But this is 172,000 jobs were created in May. That's about 4 times higher than anticipated. And experts predicted 30,000 jobs. These are the strongest job numbers of the entire administration so far. And that's during this conflict on top of it. So it's great. And you know, we have a problem in this country because it used to be, I'm a little older than a couple of you, but I don't feel old. I feel the same as I did 50 years ago. It's crazy, Mr. Senator. We got a great senator right here, Ron. But I do feel the same. But in the old days, you know, if you had good job numbers, like great job numbers like they announced today, the stock market goes up. Today, everything is crazy. The whole world is crazy. So when you have great job numbers, the stock market goes down because they think interest rates will go up. And when interest rates go up, they stop inflation. Well, you know what else stops inflation? Growth actually stops inflation. And they ought to go back to the old system. When we have good numbers, the markets ought to go up, not go down. And that's the way you build greatness. You build greatness that way. So I think we have a great gentleman coming in, Kevin Warsh. He's going to do a fantastic job at the Fed. We're getting rid of too late. But we have, Kevin is one of the greats. So you're going to see. But you're going to see beyond anything, you're going to see numbers coming in over the next more than 2.5. We have 2.5 years plus. Can you believe how time flies, right? And can you believe the work we've done? You know, it's sad because you have speechwriters and you have advisors and you have all these people, and generally you don't like listening to any of them because if you do, you're in trouble. But I said, you know, I want to write about the border, and I want to talk about the border because when I came here, we had the most unsafe, we had the worst border maybe anywhere in the world. There was no border. 25 million people came in. Drug dealers came in. People from mental institutions came in, murderers came in, 11,888 murders, most of whom, over 50% of whom, killed, can you believe this, more than one person. One killed 7 people. We allowed them into our country. We've got them largely, they're going out, and they're going out fast. We have to fight crooked judges, crooked administrations, crooked politicians, but they're going out fast. But we have the safest border in our history for the last 12 months, and this is a hard number to believe, but I don't give it. It's a number that's out there. You've heard it. 0 people have come into our country through our southern border. 0. It's a little hard to believe, but it's true. It's a little hard. If they said like 20 people, I would have been, 25 million came in through Sleepy Joe Biden. So we had 0 people, and these are done by largely sort of a radical leaning left people, the reports, but it is what it is. And the good thing is they don't try to come in. It makes it a lot easier because they know it's going to be very hard to come in. Now, we take people in, but they have to come in legally. We want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. But I say, let's talk about the border. Sir, nobody cares about the border. I said, I won the election on the border. Let's talk about the... Sir, I'm telling you, nobody cares. Run. Nobody cares about the border. You fix the border. I want to brag about it. Sir, they want to hear about other things like fertilizer. And we'll take care of fertilizer, too. When I also came in, eggs were like the highest. And remember this, I inherited all these high prices. They came in and they said, affordability. They made up the word, because that's the only thing they're good at, although I'm good at making up words too. They go, affordability. I was there one day, and I said to our great Secretary of Agriculture, what's with the egg prices? So on my second day, I gave a news conference, which is more news conferences that Biden gave in like 6 months. But he almost did. He didn't do it. Yeah. Sleepy Joe was not heavy into news conferences, all right? He'd take one question, he'd go, let's see, Jim Smith from NBC? I don't do that, they just start screaming at me. So I had a news conference on my second day, and they said, what about eggs? What about eggs? Tell me about eggs. I said, what's the story with eggs? Give me a little hint, what's with eggs? They said, what's happening with eggs? And I was told, we have the great Easter egg hunt at the White House, and I was told to order plastic eggs. I said, I'm not ordering plastic eggs. And I called this young lady right over here, Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture, and I said, Brooke, get the egg prices down, please. And she got them down. And by the way, speaking of, Tom Tiffany is one of the best congressmen in our country. And I was there, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, right at the beginning. I endorsed this guy. I had no idea, but I liked his last name. You know why? Because I bought the air rights many years ago off Tiffany, and I made a lot of money. So I saw Tom Tiffany, and I backed him, and he went like a rocket ship, and he won, and you've kept winning. And now he's running for a thing called governor, and you have... I don't want to knock him because he's finished after this, but you have a very sleepy governor, too, and you got a very sleepy... But I can tell you, Tom Tiffany is running for governor. He's a winner, and he's going to do a great job, okay? Right? Good luck to him. So in a single month, we added 7,000 new manufacturing jobs and 17,000 new construction jobs, and we're building more plants than at any time in the history of our country. We have $18 trillion coming into the United States. As an example, the previous administration, in 4 years, think of this, had much less than $1 trillion come in. We have $18 trillion from countries and people all over the world in 11 months, not even in 1 year. So that's some difference. And I think that's probably why people are shocked to see the job numbers, because the construction jobs are through the roof. But when these plants, car plants and AI plants and all the different plants, when they open up, we're leading China by a lot. I just got back from China. I was with President Xi, who I respect. but we're leading China by a lot in the AI race, a very important race. And we're leading everybody now when it comes to cars. They're coming in from Germany. They're coming in from Japan. They're coming in from Canada. Canada treats you guys rough, you know? Canada, they put on big tariffs. We didn't meet them with tariffs. I took care of it my first term really strongly, and I am now. But Canada's been very rough. You find them rough to deal with? Yes, you're pretty rough to deal with. He's more of a diplomat than me. And we are doing well. The previous 2 months, we were revised upward by nearly 100,000 jobs. They put the numbers too low. So actually, we had 100,000 more jobs than they reported. They were obviously Democrats, right? Wages for workers continued to rise, and for manufacturing workers, wages are up more than 8% since I took office, which is close to a record. Think of that. A blue collar is doing better than it's ever done before. And your farmers, if you remember, we had a bad patch in my first term where China and other countries were sort of boycotting the United States. And I met with the farmers, and I said, I'm going to get you something for it because you've been treated very badly. And I got $28 billion for the farmers in the first term, remember? I just asked Ken whether or not he got it. He said, I did. And we're looking at something also. Right now, we're looking at something to take the place of what's happened because it's artificial. What happened to you is artificial with the energy and with the fertilizer. So we're looking at something. But in the first term, I got the farmers $28 billion, and I'll never forget, I was in the White House. I had about 35 farmers along this big, beautiful table. Not as beautiful as this table, okay? But this gorgeous, beautiful White House table, all the best. And I said, I'm gonna get you a subsidy. And they looked at me, and he just said the same thing. One of them looked at me, stood up, said, sir, we don't want subsidy, we just want an even playing field. I said, nobody ever said that to me. All they want is money. You understand that? First time. Nobody ever said that. I've had so many meetings with different groups, different industries. If I said, I'm going to get you $28 billion, they say, oh, get it as fast. They actually said, we don't want it. Now, I got it for you anyway. I didn't notice anybody turning it down, but I got it. But they said something that no other group said, Ron. They said, we don't want a subsidy. We just want just an even playing field, fair trade. They just wanted to be treated fairly. And nobody else has said that but the farmers. So we love you. We love you guys. So we're building more factories now than at any time. And we've also had huge drops. And I'll tell you, this is something that's amazing. African-American unemployment is now doing better than it's ever done. And I don't know where that stat came from, but I'll take it. I don't know where the hell that stat came, but we'll take it. And a short time ago, we were a dead country. We were dead as a doornail. If you look, go back 2 years, we were a laughing stock all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. He couldn't walk down a flight of stairs either, you know. And we had everybody, we were a laughing stock all over the world. And I was with the King of Saudi Arabia because I wanted him to invest trillions of dollars into our country. Look at that whole situation now, too. It's very interesting. But he was good, and he said to me, you know, President, it's amazing. A year and a half ago, we thought you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we are. We're the strongest, we're the hottest, and we're the most respected country anywhere in the world. So, as I said, the stock market just hit 73 all-time records in a short period of time. We've had 73 all-time record highs. And your 401ks, who has a 401k here? Let me just say, a lot. Your 401ks, as you know, just hit a record high. So that's everybody. And we're just off a very big success in Washington, D.C. We had, it doesn't sound like much, but Washington, D.C. was not properly managed or kept. We had 22 fountains. None of them worked for the last 50 years, none of them. They were graffiti strewn. I did it the inexpensive way. Why should we have a screen? Everybody here has good vision. I want to show you something. Look at this. I'm going to show you the cheap way, okay? We don't want to bring screens. It costs too much money. Look at that. That's before and after. Look at that. Look at it. Can anybody see that? That's before. That's our nation's capital. That's what it, look at this graffiti all over it, filthy, disgusting stone. The stone was all horrible. And look over there, that's before and after. Then we had the reflecting pond, 2,500 feet, massive, longer than a building. We have a stat here that's sort of great. Can you guys see this okay? Because I'm too cheap to put up like a projector. Look, so that's the pond, if we're standing up. Here's your Sears Tower, Empire State Building, World Trade Center. Look, it's double and triple the size in terms of area. So it would have cost $400 million, Ron, to fix. It would have taken 4 years. And they were getting ready. Doug Burgum's done an amazing job. And I said, you know, rather than doing that, they were going to put stone down, big stone, granite, wonderful, but it all leaks because you have joints. So being a very good builder, I said, you know what? I built a lot of swimming pools, many, many swimming pools. Every time I do a development, I do swimming pools. I know more about swimming pools. I said, why can't we put the wonderful material, which is thick, pasty, beautiful like rubber, but industrial strength? Why can't we use it? And let's pick the color blue from the American flag, which is what we did. And that is the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen. And look at that. I mean, look at that. It just opened yesterday. We just opened it. So there was going to take 4 years, 400 million. It took really about a month. Okay, it was going to. Can you imagine Washington between Lincoln? Think of Washington, D.C., between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington. Just think about this. You know that beautiful spire in honor of the great George Washington and the beautiful Lincoln Memorial. So between there, thousands of feet long. It was built in 1922, and to be honest, it never really worked. It leaked like a sieve because it was stone and concrete. So I took over the project. Now, Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? Barack Hussein Obama spent, and Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, they spent a total of about $150 million trying to fix it. They never got it opened. It never worked. It was terrible, disgusting. It was garbage-ridden. And I said to my pool guy, I said, take a look at it. And he said, well, sir, we can do it. We'll get industrial strength. And I used some guys, not him, I used some guys, but he gave me some good ideas because he's a pro. You know, they got very upset when I sent my pool person. I said, who else am I going to send? So I sent him over, and we sprayed it and put down beautiful, like a pool coating. It'll last maybe 50 to 100 years. So here's the thing, 400 million versus like 10 million. 4 years versus a month. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And the difference is, look, here's your Lincoln Memorial. You have the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. Look at that, beautiful. Look at how that reflects. It's like a mirror. Off beautiful, clean water. They had like garbage. Barack Obama wanted to save money, so he took the water out of the Potomac. That didn't work out too well. A lot of things were coming out of that river into this spot. It wasn't good. So we just think of it. So like a month of this work, we actually added to it. We did the sidewalks, because once we did this, we had to do the rest because it looked so good. But think of it, 400 million versus like 10 million bucks for a better job. 4 years versus a month for a better job. We have many things like that. I talk about that all the time. We do a lot of things like that. So we're very proud of Washington. We had 22 fountains that didn't work. All of the fountains, not one fountain in Washington worked. Out of the 22 fountains, they're all looking beautiful, just like the one I showed you. And now they're clean, they're beautiful, there's no graffiti. Washington, D.C. is a safe city. It was a very unsafe city a year and a half ago. And a very unsafe city. your child would go to see the Jefferson Memorial or the Washington or the Lincoln or any of them and would oftentimes not come back. It was a horrible place. It was horrible what was happening. And we put our great military in there. We did a job. We removed 5,000 people that were career criminals. 2% of the people, think of this, 2% of the people, did you know this, Ron, create 91% of the crime. And I love that statistic because you can get rid of 2%. And we took them out. We brought them back to where they came from. They came in, many of them came in through Sleepy Joe's open border policy, one of the craziest policies I've ever heard. So we saved a lot of money. And you go to Washington, D.C., new grass. People say they don't even recognize it. We did that all in a little bit more than a year. And even I said, I mean, it's amazing. But maybe the biggest thing is we don't have, it's considered now a very, very safe city. And you can go there and you're going to be 100% perfect. We had the restaurants were all closing and now they're opening up. They don't have enough restaurants anymore. It's like, it's a beautiful thing to see. Every day my administration is fighting to protect and defend the jobs and livelihood of our great farmers. I love our farmers, our growers, agricultural producers, ranchers from coast to coast. Under the last administration, Biden and the radical left Democrats in Congress crushed farmers with brutal restrictions, crippled you with the worst inflation. So the Biden administration had the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 49 years, 48 years, but whether you say 48 or forever, I think it was forever. We had the worst inflation we've ever had, and think of that, and failed to negotiate even a single new trade deal for our farmers. They didn't negotiate one new trade deal for our farmers. I just made a great deal. I came back from President Xi, and he's buying billions and billions of dollars worth of soybeans and other things, and you're seeing that starting to kick in. Thank you. So by contrast, in my first year back in the Oval Office, average farm incomes for agricultural producers in our country have skyrocketed by more than 20%. Now, it's been over the last couple of months since we went in for the military operation. You've seen fertilizer go up and you've seen energy go up. It's going to come down to where it was or lower. You'll be very happy. Otherwise, Ken is going to call me. He's going to bawl me out, and I'll say, oh, sorry, Ken, I was only kidding, right? All right? He knows I'm going to do it. With Republicans in Congress like Tom Tiffany, like Derek Van Orden. Where's Derek? Derek. This guy he fights like hell. He's in a little bit of a community that tends to be on slightly a little bit more than we want in left, but he loves them all, and he's very popular, and he's going to win by a lot. You're doing well. I understand you're really doing well, so thank you, Derek. And he's a real fighter, and he's a great guy. We've been friends right from all of us. We've been friends right from the beginning. So we passed the largest tax cuts in American history with a great, big, beautiful bill. We made the small business tax deduction permanent, benefiting 98% of the farmers and ranchers. We gave you 100% expensing and bonus depreciation. So when you buy a new tractor or anything else you buy, you're allowed to deduct it. Do you buy any new tractors? Got a lot of nice tractors back there. Got a lot of tractors back there, by the way. But so you can deduct it, the full cost of the tractors, 1 year, any equipment, 1 year, all. You can deduct it all in the first year instead of over a period of many, many years. And we also saved the $2 million. Thank you very much. That's a big deal, actually. We also saved the $2 million American farms from, think of that, from extinction by ending. What we did is we got rid of the estate tax or the death tax. So if you love your child, if you love your child, if you don't love your child, then don't worry about it. It doesn't make any difference. Does anybody not love your child in the audience? No, but if you have a farm like this, someday it's going to come the time, right? And I met your boys, and he loves his boys. I know that because he started clapping for that last statement about no death tax. And he was clapping. He didn't clap for anything else. That means you love your boys. So, boys, I just found out your father loves you. But think of it. And I was seeing this in my first term. We did it in my first term. We did it now. We extended it out. So you have no estate tax, or no, we call it the death tax on a farm or a small business. Now, I saw it myself. You have a way of life that sometimes you're land rich and cash poor, sometimes you're lots of different conditions, but people that are on farms love being on farms. You wouldn't trade my life, you wouldn't want my life, believe me, you don't want it. Your life is much better than my life. I will tell you, your ear wasn't a little pierced over here, you didn't get pierced. You have a nice, safe, beautiful life, but I've seen it with farmers maybe more than any industry. People want to have their farm, it's a way of life, and they love the life on the farm. And the family would leave, the father would die, the mother would die, leave it to the kids. The kids would have a big estate tax problem or a death tax problem. They'd go to the bank, they'd borrow a lot of money, more money than they should have borrowed, couldn't make a deal, and they'd end up losing the farm. In many cases, I have to say, they'd do terrible things. They'd commit suicide. They'd lose their farm, they'd lose their way of life. They couldn't pay the tax. And I got rid of that tax. I ended that tax, so I hope you're happy. Right? Thank you. And the Democrats fought me on that, by the way. If they ever got in, I think they'd end that. But if something happens, if you love your child, you want to leave it. You have no estate tax, no death tax to pay. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against these critical measures. They voted against the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. They all voted against all of this stuff. They voted against a tax reduction. They voted against all of it. And they voted against saving your family farms from the death tax. So just remember that when you go into the polls, because they'll change it back immediately. There's something wrong with these people. All of these things that we have done, and Tom, Tiffany, I have to say, you were so helpful, and Derek, what the job you've done with me and helping to get it passed. And let me tell you, that man is a senator. He loves the farmers and he loves your state. And he doesn't care about anything else. He wants to make sure you get treated fairly. And there's no better advocate. You have no better advocate than Ron Johnson. So thank you, Mr. Senator. Thank you. And he'll be a hell of a governor. I know the guy, he'll drive you crazy. He'll be calling me, President, you got to send more money to Wisconsin. Leave me alone, all right? He'll do well, too. Thank you. As president, I fought for the American farmer like no one has ever fought before. Nobody's, like I'm up here today, I don't need this. I got elected, I don't have, what the hell do I have to be here for? I got elected, I'm here because I like the farmer. I mean, when you think about it, I guess there's a lot of truth to that, right? I could be home right now in the beautiful White House enjoying watching somebody else on television talking. On day one, I terminated the insane electric vehicle mandate. They wanted your tractors to be all electric. They wanted your cars to be all electric. And, you know, look, Elon, he had a bad moment, but now he's a friend of mine again. He had a very bad moment. He's 80% brilliant and 20% he's got little bad moments. But I love electric cars, but you know what? Not everybody wants them, and not everybody, in terms of distance and lots of other things. And I think they're great, but I also want to see all gasoline. I want to see the hybrids, which are great. I want you to have anything. And they wanted your tractors, you know, they wanted the tractors to be turned into all electric. And that didn't even sound good to me, right? That didn't even sound good to me. And it wouldn't have worked very long. You would have had to stop every 15 minutes to get a new charge. How would it be if you're driving your tractor along, everything's wonderful, and then Ken, he wants to work. He goes, oh man, I gotta go get a new charge every 10 minutes. That's not too good, right? You'd rather be able to operate it for about 4 days before you fill it up, right? So anyway, so we solved that problem. We ended the electric mandate, okay? And on day one, and one of the other reasons, this would have gutted the ethanol industry. Do we have fans here of the ethanol industry? Okay. Because if they got in, they will end the ethanol industry in one swoop, so you better remember that. And we eliminated all unnecessary restrictions on sales of E15, and I've made it clear that we're going to go E15 all year round, and I think it's something that you want, right? Is that what you like that? Are you happy with that? Are you happy? So they put a lot of these guys, that's all they talked about, E15. They were driving me crazy. He called me, can we talk about E15? How about something else, right? Tom Tiffany would call, can we talk about E15? But anyway, you got your wish, fellas, okay? We massively expanded crop insurance and issued a historic $12 billion in farm relief. So it's $12 billion, but it was $28 billion in my first, so we're looking at that right now about increasing it. And to stop major equipment manufacturers from restricting you from fixing your own farm equipment, we gave you the right to repair. Do you like it? The right to repair. It was a little strange. I mean, some of you are better mechanics than the people at John Deere. And I will love John Deere, Mr. Bay of John Deere. But they wanted to, your tractor is broken down. I'll bet you can fix a tractor as well as about anybody else, right? I can look at this guy. I guarantee if you were mandated, let's say you have a tractor that's broken and you know exactly how to fix it, you wouldn't be too happy about being mandated to bring the tractor back to John Deere or wherever you got it, right? You'd like to fix it.
Not so much.
I mean, they actually have, the Democrats, a restriction that if you get caught fixing your tractor, they bring you to jail. You know that? Do you know that I pardoned a man last week who was sentenced to 7 years in jail because he got caught fixing his car or his truck? I said, I like to always say, what did he do? Sir, he was fixing his truck. I said, how long is he getting? 7 years. I said, say it again. It's the first time I've ever heard it, like 2 weeks ago. I gave him a pardon because he had to go to jail because he was fixing his tractor or his truck. So I promise, Ken, if you ever get caught fixing your tractor or truck, I will give you a pardon, okay? No, but these are the crazy Democrats. That's what they want. I terminated the ridiculous so-called diesel exhaust fluid requirement. Does that mean anything to you? Big, right? Joe is happy, so I want to keep him happy just in case he gets violent. He's happy. And I repealed the Biden-era EPA, ludicrous, just the crazy waters of the United States. It sounds so nice. It's the worst rule that you've ever had. Waters of the, how could it be nicer? What a beautiful title. It was like taking your land away from you. It was horrible. And I totally repealed it. And there are some people, when I did that repeal, I had a lot of farmers and contractors, builders, house builders, in my office. And I announced the repeal in front of them. I signed it. And these are tough guys. In fact, they look like him, just smaller. And who isn't smaller? I think everybody's smaller. But no, they look like Joe. And they were crying. Half of them were crying. You remember that? Half of them were crying. I said, why are you crying? What's the big deal? He said, you gave us back our life. They actually had their life taken away. They couldn't touch their land. If they even touched it, they were in violation. They also would go to jail. That was the crazy environmental nonsense that we're all putting up with, which has largely ended. Perhaps most importantly, with our historic trade deals, I've dramatically expanded exports of American meat, poultry, soybeans, biofuels, and of course, Wisconsin dairy, the best, right? And I just see that dairy exports have surged nearly $1.2 billion under our leadership, and this is with a conflict going on. Remember what I said, Ken, when this conflict ends, you're going to see things that you've never seen before because we are ready to rock. We've never had this kind of investment coming into our country. Nobody else has either. Nobody has ever had anywhere near, not even near, including China, nobody's had this kind of investment coming in to a country. So increasing 41% to Japan, you've increased your sales. 41% to Japan, 48% to the Middle East, 61% to European Union, 63% to South Asia, and 85% to Australia. So you're doing pretty well. You're going to see it, and you're going to see it a lot better in about 3 months from now. I also signed something that you may or may not like. I don't know. It sounded good to me. It didn't sound very bad to me, but people love it. I also signed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. You know what that means? That was another one. I had a big signing at the White House. We had some people that have been fighting for that for years. I called Ron. I said, Ron, what's to fight for? I mean, it just sounds good. And it's just better. It's healthy. I like it. I drank it. I don't know. It gets harder to get it. Now we have it. So that, it's totally opened up now for the kids, and it's great for anybody. And now we're working with Congress to quickly pass the new farm bill. We're very well into it. We got some great approvals, the hardest approvals, and I think we're very well on our way to getting the farm bill finished and approved. And just to finish up, with the help of the farmers like those here, today we're also helping bring down grocery prices for hardworking Americans, and they're coming down very rapidly. Remember, I inherited these prices. I didn't start. My prices were great. They rigged the election. When I turned, the election was totally rigged. It was a rigged election, just like they're rigging the election right now, it looks like in California. Can you imagine? It's 4 days, and they still aren't even close to telling you who won. You know why? Because they're rigging the election, that's why. 4 days. In Spain, they had it like, I'm not a big fan of Spain, to be honest with you. It's gone very far left. But they had an election. All the votes were in, similar size to the state of California, a little larger, actually. And every vote was in by 10 o'clock in the evening and counted. You're going to be waiting weeks to get these votes. It's corrupt. Somebody said it's incompetent. I said, no, just the opposite. It's unbelievably competent if you happen to be a Democrat politician. Because with their policies, the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And when you look at an election, not even relatively a big election, for one state, for one city, for Los Angeles, they're nowhere close to counting the votes. But you look at what's happening, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And the people that were supposed to win, bad things are happening. It's a crooked state. We have crooked third world elections in a lot of our states, and we should pass our Save America Act. Amazing. And that'll really stop it, too. That'll stop it. That's where you have voter ID. It's where you have birth of, your citizenship. You have to prove your citizenship. I think that sounds good. And also, I added a couple in there. Also, the ballots, the voting, the mail-in ballots, so crooked. They send millions of ballots out all over the place. If you're a Democrat, sometimes you get 6 or 7. If you're a Republican, you have to call up, where are my ballots? It's such a crooked deal. We're third world country. But I added 2 things. No men playing in women's sports. And this is like best of. No transgender mutilization surgery on your child, on your children. None. So we added them in. So we inherited very high costs, and we're getting them down. They're coming down very rapidly, and when fuel comes down, they're really going to come down. And I just want to say it's an honor to be here. We have Senator Ron Johnson, we have Congressman Tom Tiffany, we have Congressman Derek Van Orden, we have Hall of Fame offensive lineman Joe Thomas. Look at the size of this guy. Good. Boy, oh boy. So you're a Hall of Fame. Did anybody get by you? Never. Never. He's a good-looking man. That's great, Joe. It's great to know you. Really good. Great career, too. I know who you are. Former president of Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Jake Leinenkugel. Thank you, Jake. The owner here of Custer Farms, and he's a great guy. I think I can almost call him a friend. We had a great time back there, and a wonderful family. Ken, thank you very much. And a fantastic dairy farmer, Jamie Witzpalek. Where is Jamie? Jamie? Hi, Jamie. Thank you. And finally, 2-time gold medal winner in speed skating in this year's Winter Olympics, Jordan Stolz. Where the hell is he? Whoa. Oh. That's pretty good. Whoa. Stand up. Stand up. Yeah. USA! 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 I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it, Jordan. I'm not giving it back. I'm a very good guy for keeping gold. I like gold. I'm never giving this back. Congratulations. I forgot to touch his leg. I didn't want to do that. But I can tell you one thing. His leg is like a rock. That's fantastic. 2 gold medals. Wow, that's big stuff. Thank you. It's an honor. And speaking for my other athlete up here, that's pretty good, right? And you go through big competition with a lot of great athletes, right? Are you going to be doing it again? Another Olympics?
I plan to be doing it until 2030, as long as I can. Until Salt Lake City in 2034.
Well,
so that'll be on home soil.
We're going to be watching, okay? You could do it again. Okay? Right. So, if we'll go in order if I can, and we'll start with Brooke Rollins and go to Ron Johnson and Tom Tiffany and Derek. And Joe Thomas, would love to have you say a few words, because you can tell us about real tough life, and it's tough in those pits, right? Pretty nasty people in there. You meet some large, nasty people, but you can handle it. And Jake, we're going to ask you to say a few words, if you would. And Ken, and we'll go pretty quickly, because I have to get back to fighting a war in Iran. There's a hell of a speakers list. We might be here all night. Yeah, if we can, fellas, I got to get back to a place called Washington and protect you, okay? So if you go very quickly, we don't need your life story other than I like the Olympic guy and I like this guy right over here. And Jordan Stolz would like to have you say a couple of words too, okay? Hey, Jordan, why don't you start? Go ahead.
Well, first I want to thank you to all the farmers who are here, and I don't think people really understand how much you guys make a difference in the country. I mean, you guys are the backbone of the nation, and for me, myself, personally, I try and eat as clean as possible, and, you know, a lot of steak, a lot of dairy, and, you know, you guys are the backbone of Wisconsin, so I just want to say thank you to all the farmers and everybody who could make it here today, and, of course, to the president.
That's good. Thank you, Jordan. That's a winner. Tough to win like that. You know, it's a very tough when you're dealing with fractions of a second. That's a tough thing to do. Congratulations. Secretary, if you would, go quickly. Thank you.
Very quickly, how about a big thank you to God for the rain and the farmers and for President Donald J. Trump. President Trump mentioned that when he came back into office, we inherited an almost $50 billion agricultural trade deficit, meaning under Sleepy Joe Biden, not one new trade deal was struck, and we lost $50 billion of market access around the world for you, our great farmers. But in just a little over 1 year, 19 new trade deals have been struck. The markets have opened around the world. We are going to break every record for dairy, for tree nuts, for corn, for ethanol, as we move the American farmer's product, the best in the world, back out to the rest of the world, while at the same time inheriting inputs that had never been so high in the history of our country, whether that was fuel, fertilizer, labor, interest rates, seed, one after the other, and those numbers all were coming down significantly, and as the president promised, will soon come down very soon again. Sir, there is no better American than the most American of all Americans, and that is our great American farmer. God bless you. Thank you so much, sir.
Ron Johnson, please.
Mr. President, welcome to Wisconsin again. You certainly have paid a lot of attention to our state, and we truly appreciate it. Like you, I met with these great farmers backstage, and you nailed it. They love farming. This right now is a third-generation farm, hopefully pass on to fourth. but they face numerous challenges. But what I thought was very common in all the comments speaking to me is they realize that you are going to fight for them. You have turned the Republican Party into the party of the working men and women in this country who have made this country great and who will continue to make it great, and they recognize that. So they know the big messes the Democrats left for you. They realize you don't turn those messes around and fix them right away, but they know you are absolutely dedicated to do it, and they love you for it. So God bless you.
Thank you. So your next governor, hopefully your next governor, Tom Tiffany. Please, Tom.
Mr. President, where we sit here today, I grew up about 30 miles from here on a dairy farm, milking cows with my brothers and sisters. I want to thank you for signing that bill, whole milk for healthy kids. There's no reason kids can't have whole milk in our schools. Thank you very much for that. And I also want to thank you, and I want to thank the Secretary of Agriculture, because you've stood up for forestry. We are now once again managing our forests here in America that have been left in decline for 3 decades. You are doing good things on that front. And the final thing that I want to say to you, that gentleman to your right was the impetus 6 years ago when I came into the Congress of the United States, showing what a disaster it was to convert our beautiful, productive farmland in Wisconsin and across America into intermittent sources of power like wind and solar. He was the impetus behind me talking to you about that. Remember July 2nd last year when we had that meeting in the White House? This is what we talked about, and it has led to higher utility rates, and it has led to the destruction of our farmland. We're not going to allow that to happen here in the state of Wisconsin.
He's right about that. He's right about that. Derek, please.
Mr. President, yesterday we got to spend about an hour and a half in the Oval Office, and you announced the $50 million that you are sending to the state of Wisconsin for clean, beautiful coal. Thank you for that. Mr. President, you signed a $50 billion rural healthcare infrastructure bill. Of that, over $200 million is coming to the state of Wisconsin to make sure that we have healthcare in our rural areas. Thank you for that, sir. You signed whole milk for healthy kids into law, sir. You just reopened every single domestic market in our schools, and that is amazing for the MAHA movement, for our kids, and for our dairy farmers. Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you, Derek.
Last thing, E15. We are bugging you, and this is the thing about the president you don't know. You call him, he answers the phone. And he understands these issues inside and out. So when he was sort of joking about us talking about E15, sir, you took that on board hard. The only reason that E15 year-round got through the Congress is because of Donald J. Trump, and that did so much for our row croppers, sir. Thank you very much, and welcome back to your second home.
So, Joe, great football player. I would tell you one of the truly greats, Hall of Famer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. President. Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame Farms, Muscadet, Wisconsin. You should come visit. It's beautiful. I got to pump Secretary Rollins' tires a little bit for the Small Processors Action Plan, because as a farm-to-table beef producer like myself, we see one of the biggest bottlenecks in our country is the lack of small packing and processing plants. For people like me that are trying to raise farm-to-table beef, Wagyu and Angus, and be able to feed our community, and she's doing great work with that new mission to be able to help us be able to feed our communities and not have to rely on trying to get into the big four packers, which is often impossible and leads to higher costs for the customer and less money and revenue for the farmer and the producer. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Secretary Rollins, for all the work you're doing for us small beef producers. On Wisconsin.
So Joe, he played a long time in the NFL. He's a Hall of Famer. Who is the greatest quarterback you've ever seen?
Oh, that's a tough one. Is anybody listening here? Because Brady and Manning were pretty good, and I'd have a hard time picking between either one of those guys.
And who is the greatest running back you've ever seen?
I never got to see him in person, but Jim Brown or Barry Sanders are my two.
Okay, good. For football fans, you know, got to keep it. That's good. Thank you very much. Please, Jake, thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you very much for coming to Wisconsin. As we all said, I want to just say, without the American farmers, we as a company would not be able to brew beer. In fact, out of all the thousands of breweries that across America, you supply the most important ingredients here in the USA: barley, malt, wheat, and we use some corn. But thank you all, and really appreciate the time, Mr. President. Thank you much.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. Ken, please.
First off, Mr. President, it's an honor and a blessing to have you here. We are there isn't the sound on the roof is a blessing. We American farmers risk a lot and count on God's blessing, and our forefathers in this country understood that. That's what makes us great, is God's blessing. And I thank you for being who you are, the integrity that you hold, doing what you say you're going to do. You make the right decisions for America. They aren't popular. Thank you. And we as farmers have lost, as Secretary Rounds talked, a tremendous amount of our trade. And that's all we need, is we can compete with anybody in the world. We need fair trade.
Yep, we lost a lot during that last administration. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. Jamie, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I want to say, as a dairy farmer and a mom, I don't know why it's doing that. Let's go a little bit further back.
Yep.
As a dairy farmer and a mom, I see how important it is for these policies to be put in place, not only for the families that are growing the food, but for the people who are consuming it every day. I was so excited to witness the signing of the Whole Milk Healthy Kids Act. I didn't even know what to think, because in reality, it was common sense to me why we don't have those options for our children in the schools. Whole milk provides essential nutrients that our kids need for bone growth, muscle growth, and brain development. So I was really excited to be part of that. And as our dad always said, drink milk, it does a body good. That still stands true to this day. So thank you, President Trump and Senator Rollins.
Thank you. And Steve?
First of all, thank you for coming to Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, and hearing us out here. Really appreciate that. And as I sit here and represent the farmers of this state and the farmers of America, I think we've all experienced some tough times here in the last 4 or 5 years. And listening to what you guys are saying, I'm very hopeful for some better times coming. And you know, some of the stuff that we see and talk about that really affects us is the monopolization of the inputs. You know, at this point, there's 4 seed and chemical companies in the country that control 78% of that. 3 fertilizers control 90% of the market, and 4 beef companies control 85% of the beef market. That makes it really tough for us when things are good. You know, our inputs just rise with the commodity prices. So we'd like some help on that. On another note, the big beautiful bill is a real win for us, and we really appreciate what you've done with that. It's lowered our tax rates. It's given us the ability to pass these farms on to the next generation. You strengthen the crop insurance. You know, I think that that all that stuff, and another thing that I want to mention is the border deal. We feel really blessed to have the control you put in place on the border. And other than that, I think you've done a great job. I'd like to add one more thing. We're in the pipeline construction business, and I was sharing with Secretary Rollins there that, you know, we were a 8,000 person company under your first administration, and we went down to 12 to 1,500 people now. And it's just starting its way back up, and we're in the middle of negotiations on a big project in Alaska called Glen Farm that I think you're very aware of. And we're in the final stretches of that. So I know that's not farm related, but if there's any help we could get out of you guys for that, I think that's a real big piece for our energy security of this country. And that's all I have. Thank you.
We'll take care of it. You all right? Anybody else? Would you like to say something? A couple of them.
Thank you very much for, like he said, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That was those tax credits, a lot of the stuff that supports the American agriculture through the trade side as well. We've got fair trade has been a challenge in America lately, and we need to get what we deserve for our products. And I thank you for putting in the effort and doing the work and getting, you know, we'd rather have fair trade than the subsidies like previously mentioned. E15, some of that stuff's great. Energy independence. On our farm, we actually have a co-digester where we take food waste and the cow manure and make methane. And I think some of that can also help increase local energy independence and keep some of our food that we all work so hard to produce from going in the landfills. So thank you very much, and thank you for being frugal with our tax dollars on repairing Washington.
Good. That's right. Thank you. So I just want to thank everybody. This is great. You're amazing people. You built this country. You built the country. We have all the complainers, all the people, they talk. They don't do anything. You're the ones that made America great, and we're making it greater than ever before. We have Make America Great Again, but we're now making it greater than ever before. So I just want to thank you all. It's an honor to be with you. We're straightening out a little unfinished business in Iran and a couple of other places. Tremendous success that we had in Venezuela, as you know. We're doing amazing oil business there right now, and it's been incredible. But I just want to thank everybody for being here special. And I want to thank you really for your support. We won in a landslide, and I just want to thank you for your support. Thank you all, and Ken, thank you very much.
Oh, he seems to be in somewhat of a hurry. And he looked at his watch a couple times. He told them, let's go, we got to go. We got to go take care of something. And so you have to wonder if something is happening as we speak. SV, you sent me something. Have you gotten further information on this? Because it looks like I haven't been able. I don't know if you've been able to verify it, but anybody else talking about the big boom booms happening over in Iran?
I mean, I'm seeing some other X accounts saying reports of explosions on Karg Island, updating thread, but just has a picture of, the cardboard cutout waving his hand. Yeah, I mean, nothing verified, but I mean, nothing on Trump's thing, but
okay.
You definitely could tell he's ready to get out of there. He's got something to do. So
there's something. Yeah. I've never seen him say that. We got it. Let's go. I mean, so something, and then he actually checked his watch at one point too. So,
yeah.
We will.
So if I see something, I will put it out. I've been scouring as I always do, but nothing major yet. Nothing from like Nick Sotor or Eric.
Yeah.
Usually they have something good. I'm staying away from Mario. He's doing never mind.
Oh gosh. All right. So I've got two quick stories I want to share with you guys before we go. Very quick.
Now, Los Angeles voters firing a political warning shot across the bow.
Oh, I don't want the Bears to leave Illinois, and I've worked very hard to make sure that they stay. Indeed, my original focus had been keeping them in the city of Chicago. They weren't able to find a property to make that happen for them in the city of Chicago. But the reality is I wasn't willing to give up billions of dollars of taxpayer money in order to give it to a billionaire-owned team, and believe very much that the incentives that we provide for businesses ought to be similar to the incentives we provide to this type of business. As much of an emotional connection as many of us have to the Bears and to keeping them in the city of Chicago or in the state of Illinois, number one principle is we're not going to foist this on the taxpayers of the state of Illinois.
Oh my gosh. You're not talking about Joe's carpentry shop. You're talking about the frickin' Chicago Bears, the Bears, the iconic NFL franchise, the franchise that pretty much launched the NFL, and you let them walk out the door. I mean, this guy should be run out on a rail. And if this is where the left's mindset is that we can't take away money from, the illegals or the poll peoples. We can't invest in our state. I can't even comprehend the amount of dollars over the last 100 years that the Chicago Bears have meant for Chicago.
This is where you begin to work out the nitty gritty in a negotiation. And there's still more work to be done there. But again, we are a lot further along than any other section in this state.
So you're saying negotiations with the Bears right now, a term sheet on a Chicago proposal?
That was always, that never went away, right? We were always working towards a term sheet.
Show with.
Boy, now you got to face that. Now you have to face the entire state and tell them you let the Bears leave. Because I know there's a lot of people who don't like the idea of public money being used to entice an NFL team or any team to stay in your state. But you're talking about a team of iconic stage status. How could you possibly let the Chicago Bears go across the border into Indiana? And there's all kinds of apologists right now. Oh, it's not that big a deal. It's just over the border. Well, when you say it's not that far, you're talking about the distance fans have to go. That's not the distance you need to measure. The distance you need to measure is the gazillions of dollars that are now, we're supposed to be in Illinois. We're supposed to be in Chicago, are now going to be in Indiana, a red state. There's no amount of apologizing. There's no amount of euphemizing. This is catastrophic for the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. I mean, wow.
Breaking news, the Chicago Bears taking a major step toward building a stadium in Hammond, Indiana. Good afternoon, I'm Dina Bair. The Chicago Bears Board of Directors apparently voted to advance its stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana. A statement from team chairman George H. McCaskey and president and CEO Kevin Warren shows an exact site is still to be selected.
Okay, so that's probably too small on that screen. So I have the whole thing here as the Bears brainchild. It says, statement from Chicago Bears chairman George H. McCaskey and the president and CEO Kevin Warren. Yesterday, the Chicago Bears board of directors met and voted to advance our stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana, with the exact site to be selected. We believe a world-class stadium project in Hammond will transform the region, connecting northern Indiana to the south side of Chicago through the loop and across neighborhoods and suburbs, stretching north of the city. It will bring Chicagoland together and deliver new opportunities to its residents and business, i.e., screw Chicago. We're going to go over here. The water is so much better over here. It's not as Yeah, I was going to say something about the DEI. We don't have to have our fans dodging bullets. We're going to go over here, okay? Just you guys deal with your crap.
It adds they believe a world-class stadium project in Hammond will transform the region. Indiana Governor Mike Braun issued a statement very happy, saying in part, quote, "Hoosiers, help me welcome the Chicago Bears to our great state. We look forward to building a partnership as strong as the '85 Bears defense, creating opportunities and economic growth that will benefit our state and the Bears organization for decades to come." And
they actually reached out to their own government nearly 5-6 years ago about planning how to stay in Illinois. A deaf ear for all that time, cranked it up about 3 years ago. We get the call 6 months ago.
All right, so just to set the stage, for 5 years, they've been trying to tell people in Chicago and Illinois, this stadium isn't going to make it. It's not going to work for us. It's not suiting our need at this point. We need skyboxes. We need more of this. We need this. We need that. If you've seen or been to some of the newer NFL stadiums out there, Las Vegas, I mean, there's just the one that the Chargers play in, SoFi Stadium, even down here, the amount of investment that they're putting into building these facilities. And Soldier Field's been there for a long time, and it's not sufficient to generate the revenue that an NFL team needs. For 6 years, they've been telling them, you gotta fix this. We gotta fix this. We gotta find someplace nearby to build a new stadium. And they kept kicking the can down the road and worrying about DEI and worrying about illegals. And finally, they're like, we're done.
And it's just not going anywhere. We moved at the speed of business. And when you look at our economy, how much more stadium you'd get for the dollars you'd spend, you'd be able to tailgate, do all the things, and logistically, you'd probably be closer to the current stadium than fighting your way through the traffic north. We've been checking off due diligence. When the Illinois legislature adjourned after 5 months with nothing, that's a threshold that makes it even more likely coming to a place with a AAA credit rating where business is easy. Where would you want to be the next 50 years?
We moved at the speed of business, something that people in blue states just don't understand. They just think that they just meander and tax and they're like, bye. So unless something drastic happens, the Chicago Bears, after 100+ years, are no longer the Chicago Bears. I don't know if they'll keep the Bears moniker. I would hate to see that logo go away. Maybe they'd be the Indiana Bears, but it's possible that, watch what happens next. Watch Chicago try to sue them, which would be an even bigger mistake. But the blue people are used to making stupid mistakes. And so one more quick story before we go, very quick.
President Trump says he'll be at Madison Square Garden in New York for Game 3 of the NBA Finals on Monday as his hometown Knicks take on the San Antonio Spurs.
I've been a Knicks fan for a long time, and I'm also a Jim Dolan fan. He's a nice guy, okay? He's been a long time wanting to win, and he's a competitive guy, and he's got a team that's amazing. I watched that end of the game, and they were dominant, really amazing. And Wemby's a great player. He's going to be a great player, and he is already a great player. I say, how do you guard this guy? 7'5", and he's got a great shot, right? But they find a way to do it. They're really great, so you never know. The answer is yes, he's invited me, I'm going.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver reacted to the news, saying he sees the president's attendance as a chance to, quote, emphasize what we have in common, not what pulls us apart. And that's what sports are about, after all. Well, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani will be there as well, although he says he'll be sitting in a different part of the arena from the president. Now, Trump has made a habit of attending sporting events as president, including his visit to the Yankees locker room on 9/11 and the announcer's booth for an NFL game. He's also been to the Daytona 500, a UFC fight, the Super Bowl, the U.S. Open, and the Army-Navy game. He's also set to host a UFC fight at the White House on June 14th.
So they're not going to be sitting in the same area. Duh. Oh, wait a minute. Here, hold on.
Kind of welfare fraud, and not
it's welfare fraud.
Oops, wrong thing. I was looking at something up here. They're talking about. Let's see if I can get to it. I changed. Hold on, give me a second. Oh, anyway, they were talking about Chicago screwing up, and I missed it because I had it on a different channel. But anyway, yeah, he's going to go to the game, and he's not going to be sitting near Mandami, and that's just too bad. Mandami sit down there in the cheap seats, and I'm sure President Trump will be up in one of the corporate suites. J.B. Pritzker from Chicago did post something. I wanted to show this to you. It's a statement from the office of the governor. The Bears have been built a storied legacy in Illinois for over 100 years, but have spent the last 6 years, and especially the last few months, shifting their position on a stadium location. That has hindered their progress. Today appears to be another instance of that after Illinois leaders have been working with the Bears in good faith. Governor Pritzker has always been clear that he wants the Bears to stay in Illinois and still remains open to a sensible solution that protects taxpayers. You're an idiot. You are an idiot. Your taxpayers want the Bears in Illinois. I don't know who it is you're protecting. Probably the people who don't pay taxes. That's the funniest thing about it. When he says, I don't want to use tax dollars, it's because they're allocating money to people who aren't making decisions about the Bears. They're not even going to the games. Well, there you have it. Let the inmates run the asylum. Chicago's screwed. They screwed themselves. They waited. And at least, as much as I dislike the NBA, at least Adam Silver had the temerity, the strength to understand, don't turn the president away. We welcome the president to come to the NBA game. I know there's a whole bunch of NBA players who probably are seething that the fact that he'll be there. I'm sure there's many people that will be in attendance that will booing him. But Adam Silver knew that don't do it. Don't mess with Trump in New York City in this regard. So it'd be very interesting. By the way, there were some people, I don't know when it was, President Trump was talking and they said that, I think it was on the plane, and one of the people asked him a question. They said Wemby, which is the big player for the San Antonio Spurs, the 7'5" giant, they said he was listening to the national anthem and he sat there with his arms crossed. Well, it's okay that he did that. He's not from here. We are not his country. He'd probably be the one guy, you just sit there and go, yeah, okay, can you guys get past this? Yeah, he's not from this country. And the reporter that asked that question stupidly didn't know that. And I'm glad President Trump didn't say anything negative about Wemby because, he's just not from this country. It's like us going and listening to the Canadian national anthem while they're playing hockey. I respect it. I will stand there quietly and observe, but I'm not putting my hand over my heart or singing the lyrics to the Canadian national anthem. Wemby isn't from here. And because he's not from here, that was a very stupid question. I almost think they tried to bait President Trump and have him say something stupid. Yeah, well, screw it. No, he's not from here. And he was pretty smart. All right, SB, before I get out of here, you got anything last moment?
Yeah, speaking of the inmates running the asylum, I sent you the Nick Sortor video. It's not violent, but look at these clowns at the ICE facility just now. It's only like 20 minutes ago. It's a 2-minute video. Hopefully you can cue it up. But these people, just look at these people.
Hold on, let me. Wait a minute. At the New Jersey thing, is this where they are?
Yeah, it's right now. This happened 20 minutes ago.
They're
still there.
Is this a thing again? I mean,
yeah.
I thought, are we still doing this? I thought we were past this at this point.
I mean, one of the signs says, Jesus said, care for strangers. ICE agents don't follow crew. I mean, these people just They drank the Kool-Aid. They drank the whole jug.
Well, you know what? It looks funny. It looks like there's like 10 people there.
That it is not a lot. But the thing is, Nick's saying that there's no cops. They're not stopping. They're just driving by. So they're saying that it could get worse tonight because they're emboldened. There's no police presence.
All right, here it goes. But let me just tell you, it's a good thing they're not in Florida because they'd be roadkill.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to tell you when you came back, if it was Florida, they would have been run hell over.
It'd be roadkill. But what were they chanting? I don't even know what they're chanting.
It's just all mumbo jumbo.
It's
the one guy at the end, he's hanging onto the car, in the hood of the car. Like that's going to... Hey, I call those speed bumps in New Jersey.
So I just want to tell you, when we were watching the economic numbers earlier, and they were talking about the people who are not participating in the workforce, that's them. That's them. What the hell are you doing out there in the middle of the day when you could be like pouring coffee someplace? Because that's about all you're qualified for at this point. And then
that one guy when he's hanging on the back is like, I would have just sped off and see that guy fly up in the sky.
Oh my gosh, these people are useless. You completely freaking useless. All right, man. Thank you for that little bit of humor.
End on that little bit of libtard zone. Yes. Have a good night.
Oh boy, I just can't with these people. But that's them. Those are the ones who aren't working. All right, let's do super chats. Cheers up. Maybe Mondami will give everybody free Knicks tickets. Yeah, good luck with that. Thank you. Brian Newland, I went to the 2006 American League Division Series, my second MLB playoff game. I'm a Tigers fan. I was there when Maglio Ordonez hit the walk-off home run to send the Tigers to the World Series. First time since 1984. Memories. I used to watch, I remember growing up watching the Tigers, being a Red Sox fan. I would watch, and Brian, you'll know this name. What was the guy's name? There's two names. One was Mickey Lolich. I hated him. I wanted them to hit home runs off of Mickey all the time. And the other guy I did like, and he used to flip me out because he would destroy the Red Sox, Al Kaline. So you probably remember both those names. Fume Drummer, if the Jets and Giants can be called New York, the Bears can still be Chicago. The Bills play 40 minutes away from Buffalo. That is a good point. I wonder if Indiana would care. I mean, Jersey doesn't care. The New York Giants and the New York Jets actually play in Jersey. Not sure if you guys knew that. The Meadowlands is in Jersey. So maybe they could still be the Chicago Bears. Very interesting. Very interesting. Kelly, thank you. Brian, again, after the 2006 LDS, me and my buddy did not get home until 5 a.m. Sunday morning. No riots, no fights, just Tiger fans celebrating memories. 1968, they did it too, I think, back then. Pekoski, thank you, and thank you, and thank you. A dozen eggs by us. Chicago is today 67 cents. Wow. Wow. Wow, that's pretty good. 67 cents. Wow. Stop. I'm trying to get this thing to stop. Okay, where'd it go? I just lost them all. Where'd they all go? Okay, here we go. I don't know why that thing is there. Okay, here we go. 67 cents per dozen eggs. Wow. Fume drummer. Months ago, the news said that if Iran can't ship its oil, they'd have to permanently close the wells. Are the wells closed, or was that BS? No, they can't. It's not so much they had to close the wells. They had no place to store the oil. And so they had to stop pumping. But some people have been saying is that they've been letting some of that oil out into the water. I don't know if we've ever confirmed that. Quality Classics tapping out. It's midnight in Kuwait. Another great show. I know. Ashley checks the show mail. I will get it. The app preview is there. Saturday show, boring over here. I'll see you tomorrow. IDF, shalom from New York. Oh, man. Kelly, thank you. Linnell, please send prayers. My daughter worked for Department of War and just got transferred to the State Department. They are sending her and her hubby to West Africa for 2 years. She's excited. I'm proud, but very nervous. Yes, let's pray for her. I'm sure she'll be well protected. Rebecca, thank you. God bless you, Barry and SV. Thanks for keeping informed, and thanks for making me smile. God bless you and your family, and God bless the USA. Indeed. Penny McCorder, ever since Trump has been back in office, I've heard Democrat and media talking about how our farmers are suffering under Trump. We find out that it's the lousy policies that Democrats had put in place and passed in Biden's administration. Yeah, I never heard about that. You can't fix your tractor stuff. That was crazy. By the way, I don't know if you saw it, but the big guy in the red shirt was Joe Thomas. He used to play for the Cleveland Browns, offensive tackle, played for like 14 years. He's from Wisconsin, went to University of Wisconsin, and he's a Hall of Famer. And he's now a beef farmer, cattle farmer. John Robinson, Taveri, SB, Beth, and crew, love your show. Liked all the great Patriots watching. It's a lot of work. Probably speak for everyone. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Brian again, how much revenue does an NFL team produce for the city and even the state? Probably a lot. Probably, I mean, just think about it. Over the years, you play 8 home games. You probably also have a couple preseason. You have practices, and you're probably bringing in hundreds, probably 1 million people a year. You think about it. If a stadium holds 70,000 people, and you've got 8 home games at minimum, that's 560,000 people going to bars, restaurants, hotels. That's a lot of money. Chiosop, as Chicago has the Cubs and the ping pong team left. Hold on, SB. Chiosop, Mandami should be sitting outside the stadium. Yeah, it's funny. Funny that he's going to go after other millionaires, but all these guys running around in shorts, they're all millionaires. Let's see. Jenny, how's Kalshi on J.B. Pritz for president in 2028? Nope, that ain't gonna work. And Brian, yep, he remembered Al Kaline and Mickey Lolich. He says both those guys were huge. Looks like SB's got some news. Hold on, let me put my ears back in so I can see what it is he is referring to. What you got?
Hey, I sent it to you on X from, it looks like there was some Iranian multiple drone attacks. I just sent it to you. It was confirmed.
Was it us or them?
Well, Iran launched multiple drones this evening towards the Strait of Hormuz, with at least 4 being shot down by our forces. So I guess, there'll be more action going tonight because, Trump's not going to allow that to happen.
I wonder. So he posted this at 6:19, about 10 minutes ago. So if they must have got word about it just as he was wrapping up or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he wears an earpiece or something, but you could tell something. He was agitated. I gotta go. You wrap it up. So I don't know if somebody slipped him a note or something.
Yeah, expect more action tonight. So I'll be monitoring it. Okay.
Wow. Over the weekend, here we go.
Yeah, well, after the market close, so, Monday, if this continues, gas prices go back up, how it works.
Well, that's probably why people pulled, that and the other things, people pulling cash out. They're sitting on it for some reason. All right, I'll keep watching it over the night. So if something happens, if something big happens, maybe I'll jump back on. Thank you, guys. Thanks, SV. Thank you.
Thanks.